Hello everyone, and a warm welcome to the 9th round of the Formula Sprint 2 Championship here in our grand year of 2026. After a nice flash to the past in Silverstone, we are back in racing action to our normal colours here in Spa-Francorchamps, often touted as one of the best racing circuits in the European continent. Here in the GPVWC career ladder, it boasts the longest out of all the tracks that we visit to, 7.004 kilometers. It's the only one to stretch that 4-kilometer mark, and it's going to be quite a challenge for these drivers to navigate. FS2 especially has been hosting here through the good and for the bad in the past, and there's nothing of a circuit quite like Spa-Francorchamps with all of its amazing corners in its areas. This is going to be something pretty magical to watch. Hello, Remco de Zeeuw here in the broadcasting directing, and joining alongside for me once again is my very good friend Lorenzo. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. Quite, yeah, thank you very much for asking. And yeah, I'm hoping that the drivers are doing well as well. Obviously, Silverstone 2 weeks back, there was quite a bit of a heat wave going through Europe. So most of the drivers, I think, were affected by it, as we saw by some of the driving in race 2. But cooler weather overall, I think, through the entire continent, or at least I'd hope so. I don't know what it's like, for example, in Norway for people like Magnus Hockenhagen and Christian Glomsetter, but here in Croatia it's nice. So hopefully it's nice weather for everyone, and yeah, cool heads both inside the simulator and just on track as well.
We're just coming up to qualify in just a very short moment, but Silverstone has brought a lot of attrition in hand as we can bring up through the championship standings that has changed as we approach through to round 9. So again, we're approaching through to the very end of that. Christian Glomsetter still holds on to the lead, but since Ben Skinner did not show up at Silverstone, he holds on to the lead by 20 points. So that gap has been increasing ever more slightly, but this again, coming into the territory, Fox Esports now holds the Drivers' Championship and the Constructors' Championship lead. So that's going to be very key for Christian Magnus, as they're going to play defensive up against the rest, and quite a defense that they have to do. Ben Skinner not going to be showing up today, so that gap could be pushed up a little bit more. But who is going to be showing up is Youngstra and Hayek. They have still been on that continuous form, and Youngstra, if he puts on a very good week race performance here today, he'll be able to jump Ben Skinner up to second place. Kona Nikola Koski not appearing for Matesphere anymore, which means that Jonas Karla could easily get into fourth if he scores at least more than 8 points, 9 points. Kasper Kurtz, I believe he will be back soon. And Filip Savinsky, again, coming off from his race win, has managed to push himself up into 9th and could well challenge Magnus Okkenhaug for that P8, which could luster into something of a higher position. So again, changes all around through the Drivers' Championship after Silverstone, Lorenzo.
Yeah, absolutely. Changes all around the grid. And you mentioned Ben Skinner and Kasper Kurtz. Neither of them showing up here for Orbit Motorsports. And we don't really know whether they'll be showing up, let alone when they will be showing up. Ben Skinner a couple of days ago inside the GPVWC server saying he should be back by Singapore at the latest, but Kasper Kurtz is still a massive question mark looming over his head. Orbit Motorsports, the Bulgarian outfit this time, still having Lukas Matulik on board for a second race, and Joe Gillette coming back after not starting this season for a one-off appearance with the Bulgarian team. So it will be interesting how he does. We've seen how well he does, but does he still have that magic in him? Is Smokey Joe still going to leave everyone else in his smoke?
The big advantage that Gillette does have is that the car has, well, apart from physics changes really, is that the car is almost a little bit identical to what it was last season. So it's going to be quite an easy entry level for Gillette that hasn't been racing GPVWC for about half a year to kind of get back and forth. And he has been, well, a very good teammate for Magnus Okkenhaug for Hunter Brit Simulation last year to record one of their best ever performances in FS2 so far. So Gillette is a very good acquisition for Orbit Motorsports, especially in time whenever their main drivers are nowhere to be seen. He's a pair of steady hands that could bring in constant points, and that's exactly what Orbit needs, especially if they want to bring on this fight to Fox Esports. So Joe Gillette is going to be the one we ride on board with him heading into the first corner. It's one of the few corners on tracks actually that we're racing on that starts with a hairpin, and then after that goes immediately downhill. And look at Joe Gillette, you can already see hugging into the inside wall just ever so briefly, because you need to put that line very perfectly through to Rouge and then up the hill for Radon. Again, it's probably the most famous corner in the entire world, Lorenzo. I don't think there's any other corner complex that's quite like it.
No, definitely not out in the world. I wouldn't say quite the most famous, but definitely one of the most famous. Obviously, I think probably the most comparable corner to the profile of Rouge and Radion would be maybe the corkscrew in Laguna Seca, but even then, that is so vastly different. As we saw Joe Gillette there struggle through Lacombe and Malmedy, going down into Brussels, a bit more tidier there. He is purple in Sector 1, however he's not the only man on track. Qualifying is basically just started. There's 11.5 minutes left in qualifying. Just because he's purple right now doesn't mean he'll be purple by the end of the session. And I think if Joe Gillette manages to stay in the purple sector times, his two biggest challenges today will be Filip Chowinski and James Knox, as Joe Gillette struggles and very loose there on the rear end through that was left fine. And yeah, I don't think that's going to be a good lap by the Englishman. might even abort it overall, as we see James Knox, aforementioned, purple in both sectors so far, and I think he'll be on provisional pole quite easily here, Amir.
The full-time GPVWC commentator, academy commentator, and part-time FS2 driver. Now it's just for the final two corners. Knox has to go. Where will he put his hot performance engineer up onto the board? He's done very good in the performance as he's had. Mani Khan in the first one to put a lap. And James Knox will take provisional pole at the moment. Thijs Youngstra, who's been very good qualifying, only about 4/10. And you can start to see it all being wrapped up for here. So Youngstra still at second place. Jonas Karla puts the priority one into P3. Very good for him. Mark Zalagi is recorded for one of his best qualifying performances at the moment at 4th, and that's very, very impressive there from the Killer Racing team. But look at this Grimlitzy, who's gone purple into the first sector. A good final sector could be enough to put McManus into the top 3 of qualifying.
Yeah, we've seen Grimlitzy do very, very well in Silverstone last week, and I mean, we saw how good he is, and it's really a wonder that it took until Silverstone, I think it is, for McManus, or just any team in general, to sign him full time. And Grimlitzy very, very eager to show what he's made of yet again. Going through the final chicane there, through the bus stop, going out, spat out onto the front stretch. Francesco Grimlitzy goes up into P4.
Ooh.
Yet another very impressive qualifying so far for the Italian.
He's been incredibly impressive during qualifying. You've seen it during Silverstone. We're seeing it again during Spa. And it's exactly the kind of firepower McManus Motorsports needs to kind of push themselves up ahead. Anthony Duval has been pretty impressive during the practice, according to the timing screens, and could ramp up something higher for GPVWC Academy. But I think an invalidation through the final sector would put the... Oh, God, the flag. Oh, I'm so sorry, Duval.
St. Lucia, come on.
St. Lucia, yes, thank you. Yes, the St. Lucian driver into the pit for the time being. Thank you so much, Lorenzo. I didn't know you had better geography skills than I do.
That's called vexillology for you.
I always thought I had good geography, but no, you've beat me out to it. Speaking of that, James Knox has gone purple in the first 2 sectors. Again, and again, you can already see the gap is about 4/10, so an improvement here could be enough to stretch it to nearly 5/10 if the final sector is going to be good enough for the British driver. And is it going to be good enough? He's improved, but it's not enough for 5/10 though. And Mark Zalaki has improved in second place.
It's not enough for 5/10 because Youngstra is now precisely 6/10 behind James Knox. However, it's Mark Szilagyi who is impressive. He's very, very impressive, the Hungarian driver this time around. Up into P2, he's beaten Kaudala and Youngstra, fought back up to second place now. So we've not seen Szilagyi this strong in qualifying this entire year. Very lovely to see the Hungarian driver now on the first row of the grid as it stands with 8 minutes left in qualifying. It will be a question whether he stays there because Czerwinski is currently 6/10 off of James Knox, but I don't think that's the true extent of his pace here. Same for Karola, same for Youngstra. Ockenhaug is there and thereabouts as well in P5. Blomstedt is still 13th. Francesco Grimlitzy, he's about to put in a lap. There we go.
Wow.
Goes up into P2.
Yeah, fantastic there from Francesco. The thing is that Knox and Grimlitzy are still about 4/10 of a difference between each other. Knox seems to have unlocked some sort of cheat code to have such a sizable gap, but this is not at all quite a surprise when you've considered the, even his weakest track in Silverstone that he mentioned, he was still taking pole position by quite a few sizable margins at that point. But we'll see David De Vries, though, gone a bit too wide through the second sector and approach to the third, and that will cause his qualifying run to a halt, still running to P14 as De Vries and Van der Smissen, which are effectively their home tracks, their home races, just being a few miles away from Belgium in the Netherlands, holding on to P14 and 15. So I think it's still going to be pretty good, and we'll see if they'll be able to push themselves up a bit further. Mihailo Vicentievich on with him, I think, is doing one of his best qualifying runs so far this season for himself at ST Racing as a whole, and the final few corners could be enough to push himself up even higher with the personal improvements throughout the first 2 sectors. A pretty good final one will be enough to push himself up even higher, even to the top 20, I think. Through the line he'll go, and it is going to be the top 20. P18 from Mihailo, very good from him.
Yeah, we're not seeing him do this well in qualifying so far, and I think overall in the season we've not seen Mihailo Vicentievich do as he attempts to go into the wrong pit lane. I don't think that'll count. I think if he does go back out on track after that one, then Mihailo will get a grid penalty for the next round, which is, if I am not wrong, Hockenheim? No, it's Hungary, sorry. Is it Hungary or is it Hockenheim? I think it's Hungary. Let's take a quick look at that.
Though.
Yes, Hungary. There we go. Thank you, Remco.
Yeah, it is Hungary. Thank you very much, Remco. Oh, 25th of July. Still true. 6 minutes left to go. My goodness me, this is quite a turnaround is this. On with Thijs Jongstra now, who at one point was holding on to second place, but with the improvements of Grimalitzi, Salagi, and Karla, he's now down to 5th. So if you kind of remove James Knox into this equation, it's been probably a very exciting qualifying battle, I must say.
Yeah, but there's still 4.5 minutes left in it. And I'm looking through the standings on the left-hand side. Anthony Duval, Dan Hayek, yet to set a lap time. Joe Gillette, still yet to set a proper lap time, same as Alfie Denley. So there's still at least 4 people who haven't done their best lap time yet. I think Philip Chawitsky can be put into that batch of drivers as well. He's 6/10 off of James Knox, but I do think he can be even closer than that in the timings of, for example, Grimalitzi and Silagi, which is 4/3 off maybe. Ockenhaug, I think. There we go, Dan Hayek, who hasn't set a lap time yet. There we go, up into P7. So the Czech driver finally makes his lap time count and goes up into the top 10.
Great lap there, and that puts Emil Overdrive, I think, on paper, again, still strong qualifying performances from both of them. They're the only team, apart from Priority 1, that's broken into the top 10, but so closely matched. But Thijs Jongstra is on for a run of his own. Already green in the first 2 sectors, and a very good final sector could be enough to push himself up higher than where he currently is in 5th. Emil Overdrive, again, on a very good form since the second quarter, really, and there might be continuing through to the third quarter. Thijs Jongstra, where will he put his car? It will only be enough for 4th, but still, that is an improvement nonetheless, and he's now just about a couple of hundredths away from Salagi's time, so improvements there to be able for him. Christian Glomstedt, the championship leader, meanwhile, is kind of struggling down in 14th, especially when you compare it to his teammate Ockenhaug, who usually he outqualifies with ease. He's up at 6th, but Christian's struggling down in 14th.
Yeah, we're just seeing Christian Glomstedt improve his lap time as well, and he's fallen down, as a matter of fact. Amir Hazik, for the second round running, I think that is, makes his way up into the top 15. So the Malaysian driver doing well for himself so far in these 2 rounds, at least in qualifying. In the races, there's still a lot left to be desired. Alfie Denley moved up into P18, but that's still a bit too little for the McManus Motorsports driver. Mika Leuving, before that, moved up into P13 and pushed Amir Hazik down to 14th. Christian Glomstedt, though, I think he stayed in P15, so Christian Glomstedt has lost 2 positions where he could have gained so much more.
Absolutely, and with De Vries and Van der Smissen and Denley behind, who have been, very capable qualifiers of showing that Savinski has gone purple into the middle sector, so this could be pretty huge for McKenna Racing, and we've seen Savinski surprise us in qualifying before. It's just a match of a few corners left, and we'll get to see if Savinski is going to be enough for P3, as Jamie Klopp has not improved into the... Oh, Savinski's disconnected. We've got confirmation that Savinski has disconnected from that. That is a big, big blow to McKenna Racing, especially going purple into the middle sector. But speaking of going purple in the middle sector, it's Thijs Jongstra that's doing that right now.
Oh, I don't know, because Thijs Jongstra is green in Sector 1, but he's 2/10 down on the purple Sector 1 set by James Knox. He is purple in Sector 2, but only by 0.05. If he does improve, it might be just barely enough for P2. And he did go a bit wide through the bus stop there. I think it'll still count, and it does. Wow. It does improve. Yellow in Sector 3, but still moves up to P2. And 0.3 off of James Knox. He still has 1 more lap to try and challenge James Knox yet again for that P1. As Manu Manikandan, there we go, shoots up into P11. A couple more. Christian Glomstedt up into P3. I think Francisco Grimalitzi has gone purple in Sector 1. I'd like to keep an eye out on the Italian driver there. I think someone else shot up into the top 15. Might have been David Junt. I don't think I've seen him in P12 before. No, there's David De Vries who's gone up into P9. So the Dutchman goes up into P9 from all the way down in P17, I think it was at the time.
Yeah, drastic improvements that we've seen around. Savinski has been back in, so he slots in between Hayek and De Vries, currently in 9th. But looking over for Francesco, who's gone purple, as you've said earlier, in the first sector. He's lost about 3/10 in the middle sector, so this will not be for pole position. But if you can get a purple in the final sector, or better, or a personal improvement somewhat, then it could be enough to get P3 maybe, I reckon, for the Italian driver. But we'll have to see. Out through to the final corner, the Italian driver goes, and what can Francesco bring to make Mouse more spots onto the table? Is fifth all the best they can do? Through to the line, and it will still be fifth for Francesco. With 50 seconds left on the clock, he's still got time for improvement. Okunaku's had a massive improvement on his end, through to 8th at the one point, so he's still holding there for now. But Fox Esports now seems to shift in that a little bit more to their favor, and they're really bringing the fight onto Emerald Overdrive.
They are indeed, and Emerald Overdrive, obviously Lucas Matulik down in 17th, Joe Gillette down in 21st. So both of them very promising drivers, obviously, not disputing that, but they're not doing well in this qualifying session at all. And it's more surprising for Joe Gillette than it is for Lucas Matulik, as Mika Löwing improves his lap time, but I think he stays in P15. Mark Silagi has dropped down to P6 in this little bonanza happening at the end of the session. He has gone green in Sector 2, but he's yellow in Sector 1. However, he's gone green by a bigger margin than he went yellow by in Sector 1. Will it be enough to improve overall, though? Mark Zilagi crosses the line up into P2 yet again for the Hungarian. 3/10 off flat from James Knox.
And look at that gap. That is so close. And with Youngster, Glomstead, Corrala all in the pits, there's going to be little challenges that will be able to beat that lap time that Zalagi has just managed to set. That was incredible there from the Aquila Racing driver. And we now look around for the rest of the track to see if there's anyone that could ever really challenge that. Hayek is the first one that we have in our minds. But he's going for a personal improvement in the first sector. Not all green, purple. But look at this. Purple for Francesco Grimlitzi. Although he's a little bit down, he's about 3/10 off into the middle sector. It could be a bit enough if he could just find. We'll see if he could just get maybe a good final sector enough to get it hold. We'll have to see. Still looking over for the Italian. Just the final 2 corners left to go for McMahon's Motorsports. Is it going to be enough for something behind that Francesco can set? As everyone is going to set their final lap times, we'll see what Francesco can muster out there. For the line it goes. It is only good enough for P3. 4 thousandths of a gap between himself and Salagi. Talk about fine margins, Lorenzo.
Indeed, and there might be even finer margins here. Magnus Ockenhaug green in Sector 2, but yellow in Sector 1. The Norwegian about to cross the line. Will he move up from P7? He does not improve his lap time or his position. Dan Hayek now, green in both of the first sectors. Whoa, bit loose through the bus stop there. It might impede his lap time quite massively. The Czech driver now about to cross the finish line. Will he improve? And he does. He jumps Magnus Ockenhaug for P7. By about 2/10. David Jund, green in Sector 2 as well, but yellow in Sector 1 by nearly the exact same margin, improves up to P11. Manu Manikandan now, green in Sector 2 by 7/10, I think that is, but yellow in Sector 1. He might improve, but by how much, Amir?
We'll have to see 100% simulation, and Manu Makanin is on course for one of their best qualifying performances, not only just as a duo, but Manu Manikandan seems to have invalidated through to the final sector, and that will call for the green car quits. But James Knox once again brings Hunt Performance Engineering to the top step of the qualifying session once again. A fantastic effort there from the English driver to continue where he set off at Silverstone. Mark Salagi, one of his best qualifying performances this season, and for Killer Racing, gives all the momentum that they need to start in second place. And Francesco Grimlitzi in P3. What a performance that is from McMahon's Motorsports. Fantastic there from the Italian driver. Thijs Youngstra over at 4th for Emerald Overdrive falls through. The championship leader Christian Glomsetter can only be best at 5th for Fox Esports. Jonas Carlo follows alongside him in 6th for Priority 1, with Dan Hayek with a last minute improve for him only gets 7th. Magnus Ockenhaug for Fox Esports is 8th. David De Vries, he was one of the improvements as well in the last 2 minutes, and he gets himself up to to 9th for VMS Sunheads. Philip Savinski is the best of the McKenna Racing duo as he completes into the top 10 after what has been a pretty cruel disconnect on his end. We'll still be happy with a top 10 grid start. David Young for Killer Racing is 11th with Chris Davis for Camera Racing Team in 12th. Craig Patterson for Priority 1 is 13th with Manamani Kanta, the last minute Hunterbird simulation substitute, is in 14th. Mitchell Luvink for McKenna Racing is the last of the Pete's top 15 in 15th, with Ricardo Bassani in 16th. Lucas Machulek for Orbit Motorsports is 17th, with Andrei Kinalia for the highest of the Frenchionaires is 18th, with Amir Hazik in 19th, and Joe Gillette, another last minute replacement, he'll be starting in P20 for Orbit Motorsports. Following for the rest, Justin Van der Smissen in P21st with Alfie Denley in P22nd. The Zeeuw GPVWC Academy car in Duval is 23rd with Sofian Amara in 24th. Jamie Klump, who's a last minute entry for Elk International, 25th with Zeeuw 26th. Amin Lal is a full-time replacement for Elk International. He is 27th. Hansko Mebus, 28th. Pablo Mata is 29th. Eric Brown for Hunterbird Simulation is a P30. And the last one that we have to complete our 31-car grid is... That's it, I think. We're missing someone. We are missing someone, but I can't remember who it is. I think it was someone that didn't set a lap time, I think. So we will be able to get through the rest of them. This is the problem of not having this view, but well, that's just sometimes these things happens. But until then, we have got our usual warm-up rituals, and great qualifying that was means that we can all calm down for a little bit until we get into full-on racing action here at Spa-Francorchamps. Great qualifying, Lorenzo, and all I can say is
very good qualifying, I'm assuming, is all you can say. Oh, there we go. Confirmation that James Rockway is a missing driver. I do think we'll get James Rockway back by the end of the warm-up session, but yep, there we go. I think James Rockway... Where did he qualify? I don't think because of the disconnection,
I don't think he set a lap time, if
and
I
I'm fairly certain that he set a lap time, unless it was basically taken away from him by the race director, which I don't even think is possible in R-Factor 2.
Oh, well. It's not possible in R-Factor 2, but it just means that he'll be starting from the back, so I think you might be right in that case. But 13 laps, 10 laps, sprint feature in the sprinter is the shortest in the lap counters that we'll have, but it's
really?
Obviously it's 7 kilometers.
Yes. But who'd have thought that... Yeah, but who'd have thought the sprint race would be the shorter one, you know? Who'd have thought?
Oh, yeah, because we want it to be like 40 laps there. Oh god, I need to bring up stats about Spa-Francorchamps. Oh god, flip.
Yeah.
You
want to look through the website while I look through the changes on today's grid, if we can get rid of this little graphic over the screen, Remco, kindly, and have the standings. Can we have the standings on the left hand side? There we go, thank you. Now that's... There we go. There we go.
God.
So
go side by side through. Oh god! You need to be careful. You need to be careful. We've seen massive incidences in FS2 before, including one that has produced. Didn't Toby Davis produce like a crash out from this, or was it some other commentator? We're gonna have a similar crash if someone does that here.
I do not remember, to be brutally honest with you. Yes, the replacements, as I was about to say. Thank you. Amir, you did mention that Aman Lau is a permanent replacement over at Elk International. Replacing it would be, I think, Ayman Asabir. And Mika Hakimi unfortunately had to miss the round very late due to real life requirements. Work requirements.
Singapore.
Which
he's needed at Singapore.
Yeah, he's needed in Singapore, whatever that means and whatever that entails. But Jamie Klomp, who was originally supposed to be with the academy team for today, has stepped into that second Elk International car. So whoa! As one of the Chimeras, I think that might have been Chris Davis, has put in front of his teammate and hopefully that doesn't happen in the race for the Japanese outfit. We mentioned Orbit Motorsports at the beginning of the stream, at the beginning of qualifying. Joe Gillette has stepped into that more or less vacant Orbit Motorsports seat. Lucas Matulik and Joe Gillette, there it is for Orbit Motorsports today. It is still unknown whether or when Ben Skinner and Kasper Kuritz, either or just one of them, will return to Orbit Motorsports. Ben Skinner has exclaimed that he should be back by Singapore. Kasper Kuritz has said nothing. So yeah, we don't really know. Nobody knows except them, and for some reason I have a feeling they don't know either. But you know, I'm sure by the end of the season we'll all know what's gonna happen and what's not gonna happen. Looking away from Orbit Motorsports now, Pablo Mata has stayed at Mapes VO for this round as well. He was with Mapes VO at Silverstone and has stayed for this additional round, while Mapes VO I think finds a permanent replacement for both Kurt Nikolotkovsky and Samuel Slalo, as that's one of the Frecheneras being not so kindly shown to the barrier on the outside of Lecombe. In the second Mapes VO driver as well, we have another new driver and a debutant as well. Sofian Amara, who did the Academy round last Monday at Brands Hatch, has taken a slight step up into FS2 for this round. Will be interesting to see how he does. And I think there are no other replacements, permanent or otherwise. No, Manu Manikandan has stepped in for Leila Petralia over at Hunter Burge, and I think that is now every single change on the grid from Silverstone, or well, from the starting order back in Melbourne, whichever basis you want to use. But yeah, I think that's all of the changes that we've had so far, and put a little plug in for those people watching who are watching for the first time. I mentioned Sofian Amara driving in the Academy Series last Monday. GPVWC is holding yet another round of the Academy Series, which is a free-for-all series which you can sign up for unless you're a permanent driver in any other team within the career ladder. All you have to do to be able to drive in the Academy Series is basically just register for the race on the league website, and then yeah, you just turn up on race day. And next Monday at 7 PM UK, so the same time as FS2 and every other series, it should be Zandvoort we're going to, so that's going to be an interesting one, because Zandvoort is not on the career ladder calendar.
It used to be last year, so it's been a little bit of a shuffle. Yeah, it did. I'm pretty sure it was. I think. I
remember it being an academy, but can't recall it being on the career ladder.
Maybe I could be making up lies. Let me look. I remember racing in Zandvoort and I just got taken out. No, I am speaking absolute mumble jumble nothingness, because we have not raced in Zandvoort in ages in the career ladder. So you're right, I am wrong. But speaking of being right or being wrong, what was I going to say? Oh Jesus, the website. Spa-Francorchamps calls itself the most beautiful racetrack in the world, and that is probably quite a fair statement, probably. But fun fact, the Eau Rouge, for those in the 1966 that do remember, it was initially a bridge that go across before going uphill. That bridge still remains to this day. So the Red River that flows underneath the racetrack still exists. So you can see it's a little bit smaller now because of all the safety jargon and whatnot, but it is still there that you can walk there. And also someone said something about a tunnel, which is very, very interesting. And there's also a karting track that's nested within the forest, which is also nice. But yeah, that's it. That's
the karting track right next to Stavalo, is it not? Or is there another one that I'm not aware of?
No, I think... oh, goodness me. Oh yeah, they've got the cyclone track. Fun fact, Spa-Francorchamps used to host the Tour de France at one point as well.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing a clip of that.
Yeah, that was indeed weird. The Tour de France is now hosting in the UK now, I think. I'm
Tour
not sure
de
they're going to be
France.
using one of those racetracks for it. Yes, it is.
Well, I mean, it's not
has-
uncommon. If I remember correctly, Brands Hatch was used during the 2012 Olympics as part of the cycling route. I might be wrong.
the velodrome.
No. I think it was. Well, I don't remember which exact discipline in cycling it was, but I do recall seeing bicycles going around Brands Hatch for the 2012 Olympics. Again,
Okay, I think I'm just speaking more jumble because it's actually starting in Spain, not in England this time. So I'm confused. I've just been spouting lies throughout this entire warm-up
well, no,
session.
you're on
So
about you're on about the Tour de France. I'm on about the 2012 Olympics. So
oh, oh right.
no
No, I
correlation
thought
at
the
all.
Tour de France was being hosted in England. Wait, the 2012 Olympics, that was in the velodrome. In fact, yeah, wait, have you been to the velodrome?
No,
Then why are we bringing up the 2012 Olympics cycling?
because one of the cycling events used part of Brands Hatch.
Did it?
I'm fairly certain I remember it. Unless
Oh yeah, road racing. Yeah, road racing in the
There you
Paralympics
go.
took place at Brands Hatch.
Was it
Wow.
Paralympics? I thought it was the Olympics as well, not just the Paralympics.
The Paralympics. It just says the Paralympics.
Whoa! What's going on there?
What happened? What happened? Ah,
Would it be?
yeah.
I'm assuming that's Alfie Denley and James Knox because they're one inseparable, so to say. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, fair
Remco
enough.
confirms it.
Yeah. Okay, that's wow, that's what a realization. But warm up has now come to its swift collision as Savinsky tops through the timing on the board. It's the only track actually that we're racing on that's I think 2 minutes long. I'm not sure if Saudi Arabia was also 2 minutes, but I think
just under.
actually was it? It was just
No, I
under.
think it was
Yeah,
just
so.
under. I can't remember actually.
Was it just under? Okay, fine. So, actually, you can see the gap. It's about 700ths. We'll probably need someone to probably double check that or whatever. But other than that, yeah, moving on quickly on to a race. Oh God, why did you cook up the engine? Gillette. We're gonna be fine.
It's not a solid.
Yeah, true. Very, very true. But I think it's still going to be quite an enjoyable affair from us, everyone, here at round 13 laps. And we've got 10 laps of a sprint, so that's going to be a total of 23 laps of racing action. It's going to be quite a long one here. It's going to be probably one of our longest broadcasts that we have on the board. And, well, with that in mind, it's a nice way to kind of hold the midway of the European stage of this calendar before again we count on for rest. After this we've got about 7 more rounds including this one. So with that in mind, the cars are slowly starting to get lined up onto the grid as 31 cars are going to go racing here at the glorious Spa-Francorchamps. Lots of ifs and lots of maybes as we prepare to line up all 31 cars onto the grid, and a lot of real big cautions. I think you, Lorenzo, being a racer yourself, what are the drivers have to be kind of wary of or having to avoid in a challenging circuit like Spa?
There's a lot of blind corners. Obviously, Radion immediately comes to mind, but I think it's not the only one of that character. Obviously, it's the one with the most exaggerated character, but last source, depending on the line you take and how stupid, quite frankly, that line is, can also be a fairly blind corner and can cause you to end your race prematurely. But no, yeah, I think you mentioned if buts and maybes. It will be interesting to see who deals in absolutes here.
We're ready to start the formation lap as James Knox goes on ahead and records for another pole position. He'll be the one that's starting at P1 for today's race. Mark Salagi, with one of his best qualifying performances, will be starting alongside him in row 1. Francesco Grimlitzi will be in P3, his best qualifying performance. Tyson Youngster follows alongside him in 4 for Emerald Overdrive. So very great row 1, row 2 right there. Christian Glomsetter in 5th holds on to the championship lead against Jonas Carlo, still eyeing for his win since Japan. Dan Hayek following alongside, who's eyeing for his since Sepang. Magnus Okanak in 8th. David DeVries is the highest of the VMS Senates. In 9th falls through with Philip Savinsky from McKenna Racing, who joins on through to the top 10. David Junt in 11th with Chris Davis makes it through a complete row 6. Craig Patterson from Propriety 1 Esports is P13, falls through with Manu Kanda. That's the highest the Indian has ever qualified. He'll be starting in P14. Mitchell Luvink from McKenna Racing is followed through with Ricardo Passani in 16th. Andre Canal for Frechenera is 17th with Amir Hazik in 18th. Then it is Joe Gillette upon his return in over half a year is 19th with Justin Van der Smith of Favina Sanets is P20. Alfie Denley from Big Mass Motorsports is P21st with James Rockhart, who did set lap times to your right. Lorenzo 22nd. 23rd goes to Anthony Duval for the Academy driver. Safaran Amara for the Mapes VO is 24th. Jamie Klopp is 25th with Mihailo Vicentievic in 26th. Eamon Lal is 27th with Hansko Mebus 28th. Alken OSC Racing in that row with the final few cars going through to Pablo Mata for Mapes VO in 29th. Eric Brenner for Hunterbird Simulation in P30. And Lucas Machalek for Orbit Motorsports starting in P31st. I think he must have broken Park Firma, I believe, to be starting.
No. One of the things we forgot to mention in the warm-up session from our incessant cycling waffling is Lucas Machalek does have a back of the grid penalty from Silverstone for escaping during qualifying and going back out on track, which is his second infringement of the sort, I think, meaning that he now starts from the back of the grid. Whereas originally he qualified in 17th, I think it was. So now he's going to have a double job, really, to get back up through the grid.
Thanks for crowds to me, Lorenzo. You're a very good co-commentator. I'm very lucky to have you. All 31 cars are starting to line up. Oh, and thank you very much, Remco, as well. You're also a great broadcast director as well. But enough of the glazing. I do that during the second warm-up session. But the last Jack driver slowly started to line up onto the grid. Oh god, everyone now finds out about what I do. Oh dear, my career is ruined. But Orbit Motorsports driver starting to line up, so we're just missing one driver, but we're all going to have quite an exciting endeavour here for today. James Knox and Mark Salagi going to complete through both rows. We'll wait for the lights to come up. Their 5 are illuminated. They're off and we're underway for the 13 laps of Belgium. Good start there by Knox though, but look at Salagi, he's been beaten through to the line by Youngster, who holds on through to the inside line, coming into turn 1. Salagi doing his best to fight back, and indeed, Youngster has managed to take it and sweep on through. Grimlitzi further down behind is going to be able to do the same suit as he holds on to about his position as Salagi is trying to go side by side, but they have to filter in one. Coming over through to Rally and through to Rouge is ever going to make way there through safely. The top 5 do so as well, but James Knox is under immense pressure from Tyson Youngstra with the slipstream in hand. He makes his way, catapults himself up into the lead as we see a bit of a yellow flag coming through back though. The Emerald Overdrive still holding on through, but James Knox manages to counter it. They both make contact! They both make contact! The leaders make a collision, and Grimlitzi finds himself in the lead. Instead goes to Dan Hayek though, with an immense battle going on. I cannot believe it, Lorenzo. I cannot believe it. And there's absolute carnage going along in the first sector. So many cars have been lost. We have already got 3 retirements already, but still up ahead. Dan Hayek has to fend from a charging Grimlitzi, and it's still going to be an ammo drop that leads, albeit it is Dan Hayek though. An incredible lead that we've seen, but it's already caused so much issues and so much pandemonium throughout the entire grid that it's completely lopsided now. And now really Dan Hayek leads with Grimlitzi second, Salagi is third, and Carlo fourth. Glomser fifth. Still yellow flags going on, and we've still got many cars losing positions, Lorenzo.
Yeah, we saw yellow flags flashing in Sector 1 even before the Youngstra Knox incident, and even the Youngstra Knox incident, the angle was very, very awkward for us to see what exactly happened. Who took a shallower line, who took a wider line, who squeezed who, if anyone was even squeezed, on what exactly happened. It froze into water what I wanted to bring up after I managed to speak, where we were on board with James Knox as the lights were turning on. When we saw him moving in the grid slot, I was about to ask whether he's going to get a drive-through penalty for potentially jumping the start and whether the game would register it as so, but now it all goes into water as James Knox has tumbled down, and I mean we're looking at the wrong thing at the moment here, as I think it doesn't even matter whether James Knox jumped the start now. He's fallen so far down, it doesn't matter. As
did he jump the start?
He's moving
backwards actually. He's not actually jumped the start because he has not left his pit box, but he's definitely rolling backwards, which means that he has not put the brakes on, even though that he puts it to neutral, so it still rolls back even that. But we want to look on a bit ahead between what happened to Knox and Youngstra. This is the exact moment that we're coming here, and the speeds are just so immense heading into this corner. Knox and Neves knows that instantly, late breaks through side by side, and that's a bit of an onus there from Knox, and oh god, that's very, very hard to judge from just that position alone, because it's just such a, because it's just Kane looking for the head, and Knox loses down even further. Yeah, with the contact, that must be from Craig Passon, I think that was.
No, that was one of the chimeras of Chris Davis, I think it was.
It was priority one, I thought it was, that maybe have happened.
No, that was Chris Davis in the camera. You can see their face, Youngstra off into the barrier. You see James Knox on the left-hand side. Chris Davis, oh no, that was Chris Davis. Oh, that was Riccardo Bissani who touched James Knox, and he's without a front wing as well.
Oh right, okay, so that's a lot, that's so much problems that we've seen. I want to see him through one of the, oh my goodness me, that's just so much. I wonder if we might be able to see the retirements, but the race still goes on.
We missed Dan Hayek losing the lead.
Oh, we
Philip
did.
Chawinski is falling down. Still yellow flag. Hans Komebius is falling down. Philip Chawinski, I'm assuming that's another disconnection for the Polish driver. What is going on?
It's just absolute chaos going on, Lorenzo, as McKenna Racing has to lose in retirement, and it's just not been going for Stravinsky's way, unfortunately, as it's just very, very fortunate, but the race still continues on. We're still on lap 2 out of 13. With all the car styles going on, we still have to keep an eye on the lead between Grimlitzy, Hayek, Corella, and Salagi, and see how that's going to muster, as it is currently Hayek that leads a train of himself, Corella, and Salagi at the moment for second place.
Yeah, and the Grimlitzy seems to have peeled away ever so slightly. It's a 6/10 gap to Dan Hayek behind. Obviously, Hayek still in DRS range, but Hayek is going to be looking forwards and backwards because Jonas Kaudala is going to be attacking quite hard here. And Mark Silagi, I don't think has been on the podium yet so far this season after the strongest qualifying of the year for the Hungarian driver. He's going to be very, very eager to get back onto that podium as well. He lost on lap 1, currently in 4th. Started in second, very poor start from the Hungarian. Jonas Kaudala, there we go, peels away to the left-hand side, overtakes Dan Hayek quite fairly easily with DRS as Mark Silagi pulls over to the right-hand side of the Czech driver, and he gets up into P3 as well for momentarily, but Dan Hayek defends it very, very well there. They're still alongside one another. Dan Hayek has to take a wider line. Mark Silagi, they're still alongside the two drivers. Mark Silagi is still behind ever so slightly, has the inside line here now, and he might be able to get in front now. He does. Mark Silagi gets back on the podium.
Great battle between these two. Keep it as clean as they want. They're Hayek a little bit wide. You need to be very, very careful of the track limits, as you get too many infringements and you risk serving a penalty, as seen someone just coming into the pits probably for repairs. So already just so much chaos going on, as we've said for mention. But Fox Esports seems to be the biggest gainers of this. Okanaga and Glomsetter haven't really changed much positions. In fact, it's Okanaga that has rather than that. And James Knox is doing his best to climb his way up through the field, as he's just overtaken Craig Patterson for P9. David De Vries will be the next on his list ahead, and I think that is De Vries and Yunt just slightly ahead, so could be a little bit easier for the British driver. The thing is, he's got about 10 laps to go. If he's eyeing for at least a podium, then he's got a lot of things to sway in his favour. More importantly, a battle between Corella, Salagi and Hayek in order to inherit that opportunity for James. But for how well they've been cooperating at the moment to try to get ahead of Grimlitzy, it's going to be a lot harder than easily said, as Ogenhag and Glomsetter on with them are going to do their best to pick off Hayek.
Absolutely, but Magnus Okenhaug still not the biggest gainer by a long shot in this race so far. Lucas Matulik, who's just overtaken Eric Brenner, 14 places gain. Before that, Brenner and Matulik were equal on 13. Aman Lal has gained 14 places. He's gone up from P27 up into P13. James Shrockway has gone up 10 places as well. I think the biggest loser undoubtedly is Youngstra after that incident. But apart from that, James Knox obviously fallen 8 places. But other than that, Mani Cannon has lost 6 places. Philip Chawinski has fallen 17 places, but he's reconnected back, and James Rockway is now falling, so something has happened to James Rockway. There's a commentator's curse, and I think James Rockway might have lost James Rockway if he can move over from the positions again and lost, and see whether James Rockway is still on track or whether he's out. There's a lot of people falling down. There we go, James Rockway is out of the race, so something has happened to James Rockway, who I was just praising, and I seem to have cursed, the classic commentator's curse, unfortunately, has befallen him.
Yeah, so a quick replay, we'll be able to see what has happened. He's already gone slow, so that looks to be a bit of suspension damage maybe, or something along those lines, as he's still in second gear, but he's not shifting down, so that I'm wondering if his shifter might have broke or something like that. It could be a hardware issue, and unfortunately the British driver calls it quits, and that's another retirement onto more added numbers here at the Belgium Grand Prix. I've never seen, well, I'm lying, I have seen big retirements before, but I don't think I have seen this many so early on in FS2, unlike what we have seen at this moment. And we're still not quite over and done yet. We're still not even halfway through, and we could be at risk of losing more. But the race will still go on as the clouds darken upon the atmosphere, as it gets a little bit colder. Seeing a battle between Hayek and David de Vries. What happens, Lorenzo?
Oh, I don't know yet. There's quite a lot of the race to the left, and David de Vries, slight contact with Dan Hayek there, but Dan Hayek still alongside with the Dutchman. That's David Junt going very, very wide out of the final turn, and he's lost a lot of time, I think, there on James Knox, who's lurking behind the pairing here of Hayek and de Vries. De Vries loses that. No, he's still alongside Dan Hayek. That was a very, very deceiving angle there out of La Source, and David de Vries, Dan Hayek. No, David de Vries pulls in front of Dan Hayek before Eau Rouge, so Dan Hayek yielded so he can get DRS on the Camel Straight, but James Knox is going to have DRS as well. David Junt has closed down the gap yet again. We might have a 4-wide situation here down the Camel Straight. Oh, what will happen here? David Junt gets in front of both Knox and de Vries. De Vries the biggest loser. Dan Hayek stays in P6. Oh, both Knox and Junt very, very loose there through Lacombe, and that could have ended so much worse than it did. But the only person it ended bad for in the end was David de Vries, who's lost 2 positions.
Yeah, just a pretty hectic battle that we've seen going on ahead. But I think for James Monks, that's going to be a little bit easier for himself to get himself up a little bit higher. But Hayek and Junt are quite separated away from each other, and Knox really has to kind of think about how he wants to tackle them off one by one. You can see the gap there. Hayek, if he wants to try and bridge that gap to Hockenheim, needs to find something of 1.3 worth of pace to kind of caught it up. And with Fox Esports and how well that they've been performing all season long as a team, I don't think that Glomset and Oggenhag are going to fight amongst each other, so that option is kind of ruled out in Hayek's favor. But I think we've seen another one kind of dropping off for the order. I think that of Min Lal, who was I think P13 at one point and could be at risk for another retirement. Owen is missing our front wing, so that's a pretty unfortunate, as I think Elk International could be at risk of losing out 2 drivers in this race. I think so many. I can't believe what.
Oh, surely not. So. I have a feeling I know what's going to happen. We've seen this problem before the race. Oh no, it's not what I expected at all.
Ooh,
no,
boy.
That's just a driver error.
That's a simple driver error, but does manage to move out a bit of the way, and oh god, it continues on. So hasn't really retired. Law has been a bit of a massive struggle on his end. This is coming through to Lecombs. It's just simple out, and oh, that's just a simple corner cut. That's fine, I think, but yeah, you really do not want to lose your front wing in a stage like this, though. Look at this Grimlistic Coralla in a battle for P1. Coralla down for the inside, and he makes it easy as the Finnish driver takes the lead and could be in course to make his first race win. Suzuka. A great move there by Jonas, but Will Francesco able to fight back, though?
I think he might be able to, but not in this part of the track for sure. Grimlistic is going to have to stay behind and tough it out through the dirty air, through this third and just what little is left of the second sector here at Spa, and hope to get back into the DRS, maybe strike on the front stretch maybe even on the camel straight, but he's losing time here through the end of sector 2. He's lost, I think, a 10th there just through no name, and I think Grimalitzi, if this continues, if he continues suffering from the dirty air sitting behind Jonas Karola, I think he's going to drop down and he's going to have to battle Maxi Lagi for P2 instead of Jonas Karola for P1, and that is the Mapes VO in front of Sofiane Amara, who's about to get lapped, so hopefully we see the Frenchman yield very as smart as possible to the front pack here, and hopefully it doesn't impede any of them or the race overall.
Jonas Carlo will have to worry about dirty air, and so will Francesco if they're not going to move out the way as they would. I don't think they're... Oh my goodness, we got a lock up there from Jonas though, and this could be the advantage that Francisco could be looking for, as the Maestro driver does move out the way and Carla still defends the lead, but that lockup could be absolutely crucial, and that is really going to hamper the tire health of Carla, which is very important in Spa-Francorchamps. You do not want to make a lockup in this track, and now Carla has to play the long game and to be very cautious on the tires. Grimalitzi could smell an opening.
He can, but Grimalitzi looked slower than Carola did there through La Source. The gap is still not extended though, because Grimalitzi is now in slipstream as opposed to dirty air. There we go, DRS as well. I think Grimalitzi is going to be able to clear him before the camel straight ends here, and he is indeed. Grimalitzi now back into P1 for the Italian, for the Scottish outfit. Carl McManus, I'm sure there's going to be a massive elation in Scotland as it stands, and not just in Scotland, but yeah, Francisco Grimalitzi back into P1 now.
Excuse me. Goodness me, I think it's uniting all the Italians together. As we can see from the back, we can Salaghi is still just about a second off, but this fighting has kind of bridged them up just ever so slightly closer. And if Karan and Grimalitzi continue to battle, then we could see the Hungarian again mix himself into this position. Glomset and Aukenhag, they're about 3 seconds of a gap away, and that's very big, but I'm not quite sure if they're really thinking about much of the bigger pictures. They are thinking about what's through behind, because James Knox is slowly catching up to the Fox pair. The team owner turned into a driver. He's going to really test his drivers and see what sort of difficulties that he could bring in quest to be higher up through the field, as he's going to definitely eye for that 4th place. And Aukenhag and Glomsetter, well, they've got a bit of defending to do, I must say.
They do indeed, and we've heard from James Knox before. I think it was Silverstone 2 weeks ago, where he said while battling Magnus Aukenhag there was no communication between them. It was just James gunning for his own prestige and battling Magnus as if it's not a driver of his own team, and I think it's going to be the same case here. Obviously, Glomset in front of Aukenhag. I think the Fox Esports, they're not gunning for the win here, they're just gunning for a good points haul, because the Orbit Motorsports car, you've only got Lucas Matsulik in P14, and of the Emerald Overdrive, I mean, we see Fais Youngstra down in P22 after what happened. Dan Hike is in P7, so they're gaining very good points on both teams here, and Glomsetter being in front of Aukenhag is gaining quite a good points haul on not even Ben Skinner anymore, but Fais Youngstra. But Jonas Karola, I think if he managed to get past Grimalitzi here and stay in front of him, he's going to pass him here. But whether he'll stay in front of him by the end of the race, if he does, I think he's going to close the gap massively on Fais Youngstra, and it might become a three-way fight by the end of Spa-Francorchamps for the title.
Easy as you like overtake by Carla. It's the only overtake you can really afford to do by keeping his front tires at bay, but Francesco doesn't have any sort of such restrictions, as he's managed his tires very good. And look at this, he almost looks for an opening through to the very long hairpin, as the enter through no name. It is Jonas that will still lead with Grimalitzi in second, and again you kind of start to see them both cooperating for just ever so slightly. That Salaghi is about 1.5 seconds to make such a move, and then after that, even though there is an opening, I think they both kind of hold that restraint because they know they don't want to invite any other people into this battle for the lead.
I think Salaghi is perfectly content being in P3 as it stands. The gap hasn't fallen down below 8 tenths, I think, in 3 laps now. It's oscillating between 8 tenths and about 1.3 seconds, and Christian Glomset and Magnus Aukenhag have said already, the Fox Esports cars not pushing in the slightest, but if James Knox get past both of them, with enough time left, Mark Salaghi is going to have to keep his eyes glued to the back of his car, because James Knox is going to come rampaging through and trying to get back on that podium that he squandered on the beginning of the race. As we're looking towards the midfield now, we saw David Vrij chasing down David Jont, but not close in the slightest yet to make any sort of attack, the Dutchman, on the Swiss driver. James Knox, though, here, is very, very close to be able to attack Magnus Hockenhaug, and he might do it into La Source as well.
Relying for a move, Knox is going to stick for behind the Fox Esports driver. He's not going to make an overtake immediate, but he has to kind of do so very soon, because a charging Dan Hayek is going to be behind. If James Knox makes it far, far too late, then he could risk losing a position between not only just Hayek, but also David Junt, who could be seen up here. But Hockenhaug seems to be on his own without a teammate really to facilitate an assist. Through to the Camel Street, we're going to go now. The longest stretch, Grimalitzi and Carl exchange places once again, and James Knox makes his way on through for P5. A little bit of a squeeze though. He loses it. He hits the wall. He hits the wall. And Carnage, he's completely on his own. He's 5, but he loses positions regardless. And unfortunately for James Knox, that is his quest for top 5 over and done. Dan Hayek will be the one to pick up the pieces as he's up into P5. And up ahead, Grimalitzi is sizing up against Karla as he's holding on to a 3/10 lead.
I mean, we were talking about how James Knox is going to be gunning for his own success here, and how he's going to battle his own team's cars like there are any other cars. And I think Magnus and Christian had that same mindset battle like their own team boss. But I mean, this is just egregious by Magnus Hockenhaug here. He can see James Knox well alongside him, and he's still squeezing him out half a car's width onto the grass. And I mean, this is an interesting one, because this is definitely a reportable offence for the disciplinary committee, but this is a conflict of interest situation here, because James Knox, does he report his own team's driver and get him a justified penalty, or does he not report it and allow Magnus to keep the position he's in currently to get his own team more points? It's definitely something that's It's something.
I know.
It's something that this league, I think, personally speaking, suffers from. But never mind that. Magnus has lost a position, nevertheless, with 4 laps to go now. Who has retired? James Knox has retired. Indeed, he has, and I think he's just given up after that. It might have been just too much damage. Might have just been rage. But I'm sure he'll be back in race 2, angry and just more eager than before. But Magnus Hockenhaug, he would have lost a position to him there, but he's lost it now to Dan Hayek instead, which is, I mean, if you look at it, even worse.
Let's see, once again, this is going to be for the lead, and the Finnish driver once again holds on to lead against Grimalitzi with about 3 laps and so to go. It is going to be Jonas Kard that leads into the first sector once again. Apologies for interrupting you, Lorenzo. What were you going to say?
Because we're now back on what I was going to say. Dan Hayek, he got past Magnus Hockenhaug. Magnus Hockenhaug is now back past him again. But if Dan Hayek managed to beat Magnus Hockenhaug, then that would have been worse for Fox Esports than if only James Knox got past Magnus. Because this way, yes, they would have lost points on Emerald Overdrive, but this way Emerald Overdrive is going to gain points on them. However little of a points tally it is going to be, and however little of a points change it is going to be, it's still points gained. It's still all going to accumulate by the end of the season. And who knows, maybe those points are going to be crucial by the end of the season for either of those teams. And yeah, I don't know. I think there's going to be a very, very interesting conversation to be had between Magnus and James at the end of this round. As we take a look at what brought James Knox's race to a close. Did he just pull over? Oh!
I lost it. He just simply lost it into that corner and just calls it quits. It's just an incident too many for him to continue, and that means that he will not take advantage of a reverse. And Alfie Denley has retired as well, so that's added even more people to the retirements. But we still
21 people now.
21 people. My goodness me, this is going to be pretty hectic for how many people we'll see finish to the end of the race, as Carla just a little bit slippery on the exit means that Grimmelitzi will have the slipstream and will be the first person in hand to take advantage. We can see that was Glomsetter, I think it was, Ockenhag and Hayek exchanging positions for P5, but still keeping it high between Carla and Grimmelitzi. I think they exchange positions once again. The Italian driver will have the slipstream and will have the DRS easily to his advantage. The Italian will happily retake the lead, with Carla having to use the slipstream to try and fight back. Couldn't quite do so. He's going to try it though. He's going to certainly try. That's the closest that we've seen a fight back through that section, but it is not going to be close enough for Jonas though. Francesco leads at lap 11 out of 13.
He does, but I just saw Dan Hayek battling Magnus Ockenhag for P5. He's dropped down to P8, and I saw David Jund get in front of Magnus Ockenhag for a split second. There he is again. David De Vries got back in front of him as well now. So something might have happened between Magnus Ockenhag and Dan Hayek, which has resulted in Dan Hayek losing 2 positions. Magnus Ockenhag is still alongside David De Vries. Ooh, that was very close yet again through No Name. Dan Hayek now alongside with David De Vries. He doesn't give him much room either, but it's still more calm than whatever Magnus Ockenhag was doing there. David De Vries now drops back down to P8. Mika Luvink is there as well. So it's almost a 5-car battle for P5. No, it's P6 now, because David Jund, he's peeled away so much. He's outside of DRS range as it stands for Magnus Ockenhag. And I think David Jund, he might have just gotten a very free P5 there, unless he makes a mistake.
It's very curious to see what will happen there. A bit of a replay to have seen what has happened. This could be the incident that we were talking a little bit about earlier, as this is Ockenhag, and this is going to be three wide almost. Oh, and he got tagged from behind, I think it was, and he eventually had to rejoin ahead. So this is going to be pretty curious to see what the verdict for this one will be. I think Ockenhag, should be able to do that really if he's been caught loose and off by surprise. And he didn't lose any time whatsoever, as... Oh no, he lost to himself. Ooh. What do you think?
I think we'll leave that over to disciplinary committee and focus on the 2 laps we have left now, because Magnus Ockenhag, he was outside of the DRS range of David Jund, but now he's back in it. 4 tenths separate the Swiss and the Norwegian, and Magnus Ockenhag, I think, is going to be fairly easily able to get back past the Swiss driver here, but I don't think David Jund is just going to yield like that in these final laps, as Dan Hayek has been overtaken by Mika Luvink, and Mika Luvink still alongside the 2 of them. Ooh, very close between them here through Le Calme, and Mika Luvink edges out Dan Hayek for that P8. So Dan Hayek, who could have gotten P5, has now dropped back down to P9 through no error of his own, just through the manner of the cars. Really, through the DRS, through the slipstream, he's lost 4 positions, I think that is. Now there's 3 positions to where he was 2 laps beforehand, and it's going to be a massive task if he can get back up to P6 by the end of the next lap, and I don't think he's going to be able to.
Yeah, it's just kind of damage control. Hope he doesn't lose any more positions, because if he loses more in the time whenever it comes to the 5 laps of the race, its point starts going to lose, not just for himself but also for the team as well. We're approaching over through to the last lap of the race. Grimmelitzi has a sizable gap to Carla. Is Carla's tires starting to give in? Is that all the Finnish driver can muster, or is there anything left in that Priority 1 esports driver that he can possibly do very late on the brakes for the last 2 corners? He knows that he has to give it his all against Francesco to hold on through to the lead, and if Grimmelitzi does get overtaken, then Francesco has to think about ahead and think about where in the second and final sectors it is possible to overtake the Finnish driver. But here we go, through to the final lap of the race. There's been nothing that has been separated between those 2. Even when Carla had the lockup, he was still giving it his all, and it could be coming down right down to the wire. Lorenzo still between the Italian and the Finnish drivers. They go through downhill and up through Rouge, through to Radion, and then on through to the Camel stretch. It is going to be DRS and slipstream to Carla's advantage. He's got
where's he going?
On the grass, and look at this absolute defense by Francesco, but Jonas is not done yet. He's going to try and look for a dive bomb into this corner, through to this corner. He is super throws his car through, and it works. Jonas Carla retakes the lead on
Oh, you wouldn't have imagined that he would have made it work after what happened there on the Camel Straight. But Jonas Karola back into the lead, and what a move it was as well by the Finnish driver Francesco Grimalizzi. He hasn't got much time to get back in front. I don't think he'll be able to, because I don't think there's a DRS zone between Stavelot and the chicane. And I think unless he gets a massive boost of slipstream, or unless Jonas Karola makes a mistake, this is the Finns' race to win. Oh, it's so tantalizingly close for Francesco Grimalizzi here, but I think he's going to slip out of his hands at the very end. The gap, I mean, look at it, went from 2/10 to 4/10 in the span of 2 corners. And looking back now, David de Vrij, he's gotten passed by David Junt, who got past Magnus Hockenheim, but Magnus Hockenheim has got past all of them.
Onto the stretch is super close though, 3/10, and we'll have a bit of the DRS of Francesco, still within previous chance of Jonas Karola, who could be coming then. Is Jonas Karola going to get a second race win in FS2, or is Grimalizzi going to etch his name as another FS2 race winner, a 7th different one? It is not enough for Francesco. Through to the final few corners, it is the 8th different race winner in the last 8 races. Jonas Karola takes the win at Spa-Francorchamps by the absolute nail of his arm, by the absolute super close. I don't know what I was trying to make different there, as David Junt in the midst of
it's going to be a drag race here.
This is going to be super close right down to the very end of the wire, and it's David de Vrij that beats David Junt in the Battle of the Davids for P6. Incredible racing that we've seen there, but Karola, by the width of a hair, manages to hold back Francesco through the final 2 corners to take his 2nd race win this season and his first FS2 feature race win. Absolutely incredible, Lorenzo. Absolutely incredible.
That was, I think, arguably the most eventful of the races we've had so far this season. Looking back at some of the races we've had, Bahrain feature race comes to mind immediately. I think this was so much more eventful, but then Bahrain, obviously we had many more retirements. As for example, we take a look at what happened to Alfie Denley. This is going through sector 3, just goes out onto gravel, and as Anthony Duvalu managed to miss him, and no further incidents happened. So yeah, I think this might have quite comfortably been the most eventful of the races we've had so far this year. As we take a look at our race winner, Jonas Karola wins. I think this is his 2nd feature race win of the season after Sepang. Francesco Grimalizzi gets his first, I think it is, podium in Formula Sprint 2, so close to a first win as well. Mark Silagi, that is his first podium this season. Amazing drive by the Hungarian, and I think his best result this season so far. Christian Glomsetter, only P4 for the Norwegian, but extends his lead in the Drivers' Championship over Ben Skinner, and more importantly over Fejs Jongstra now. Magnus Hockenheim currently P5, but will be interesting to see what he gets any post-race penalties. It is very likely indeed from what we saw in some certain parts of the race. David de Vrij in P6 and David Junt in P7, so 2 Davids there, rounding out the 2 numbers of that one meme. Dan Hayek in P8, Mika Leiving in P9, Craig Patterson rounds out the top 10. In P11 it was Justin van der Smissen. In P12 it was Chris Davis, the sole Chimera Racing Team car to score points this round. Lucas Matulik finally gets points for Orbit Motorsports in P13. Manamani Kandan gets points for Hunter Birch in P14, their first points since I think it was Suzuka. Amir Hazik, I think, gets his first points on board for Hot Performance Engineering as well. Much needed points after James Knox's retirement in this race. Joe Gillette so tantalizingly close to points on his comeback into FS2 on this one-off. Finishes P16. Anthony Duval P17, Eric Brenner P18, Fejs Jongstra in P19, Hansko Mebius in P20, and in P21 it was Andrea Kinaya, and then our DNFs in order from 22nd to 31st. It was Alfie Denley, then James Knox, Aman Lal, Sofian Amara, James Rockway, Philip Chawinski, Ricardo Bissani, Jamie Klomp, Mihailovic Entievich, and Pablo Mata.
Thanks, Lorenzo. That was quite a very long results and quite a long amount of retirements as well. But definitely been a very good race nonetheless. And you were right, it is Jonas Carla's second feature race win, his first being in Sepang. So he's in collection had a total of 3 race wins, which has been very good. And congratulations as well to Francesco Grimlitzi and as well to Mark Salagi. Both of them achieve their first ever podiums in their FS2 this season, at least. I think Mark Salagi has gotten a podium before. But until then, we will take a very, very quick short break. We'll bring you through to more information, such as who will be on reverse grid pole position and with more exciting racing, including the 10 laps of the sprint race. But until then, we're going to take a short break, but have a look at this sweet little video.
Inside a place of... On the next pretzels. Kelty seat, the coffee beanery, Tyrek.
Flat out. Oh no! Oh no! Who's round? It's Magnussen. Oh, it's going to be a touch moment. It's in the barrier. Oh, they spun. Oh, this was a carnage.
And Menocon's going to win.
God.
It's a double pass. Could they take each other off? They don't. And Flack slide. It's a victory for the Tuties. They touch. They're now. Oh no!
Soriano's gone around and met the wall. Mitchell will go through. Does it go uphill into turn 4? Oh, around the outside. What a fabulous move.
Frelick will use all of his as well. Here he comes. He makes a move. They touch. They run wide. And Munio's going to get it. We're going 3 wide. Look at
Sing.
contact. Oh my goodness. The Tyne has lost a wheel.
Time's out.
The dramatic race that we were teeing up the entire time has come to an end.
And we're back in live pictures. Very warm welcome back here to round 9 of the 16 Formula Sprint 2 2026 Championship. We've seen an incredible 13-lap thriller feature, and with a 10-lap sprint race, Lorenzo joins alongside me again, and Remco. Thank you very much to those two that provided me very, very valuable company. It has been a very lonely second warm-up session, but Lorenzo, you can bring this to us, the reverse grid pole sitter.
Indeed I can, and being rewarded very, very well for the first points in, I think it's 6 rounds. Manaman Kandan, who finished P14, now gets reverse grid pole, so it is P14 from the random roll that we were dealt by our race director Chris Williamson, who starts on reverse grid pole, meaning from 14th up it's all reversed. Yay! You have to feel bad some of these times when it's
well
P4.
Well done, Edward Hunter. Well done. I hope you're happy.
You do have to feel bad in a sense when it's P14, for example, who gets reversed with pole, because then P15 just like misses out on what could have been it's just P15 who doesn't get reversed. And in this case it's Amir who got points for, I think, the first time this season, or it might have been the
Prince Suzuka race 2, I think it was.
Indeed, so, you are right.
Yeah, so a very, very long time that Amir has, scored points. And it's just a shame that he was just one position away from being rewarded with the reverse grid pole, because it's just, it's so good, isn't it? Because I think being in a P15, especially in a moment like that, sucks, because not only do you have to deal with having to catch up to the leaders who are reverse grid, so that means he has to worry about Francesco and Jonas, who are P14 and 13, but then he also has to worry about the people that retired behind that are going to charge the way up through. So Hazik is in the midst of no man's land, if you will, about hard being that sweet spot, and again 15 scores points in both 2 races. So yeah, we'll see how Hazik does, but all my wishes to him, and one Amir to another, best of luck.
Indeed, I think warm-up has ended. We're just waiting for us to transition into the race session, which I think hasn't happened yet. But once it does, nope, there you go, confirmation from our broadcast director, Remco de Zeeuw. And we're just still waiting on the race director to transition us into the race session.
Certainly will. In a few moments, we only got about actually 9 people that sat out lap times this time around. Rockwell did confirm it is a shifter issue that he had, so I think he will be available to race in the second race. If anyone else has got any other driver news that you want to do, feel free to message us in the Discord or the YouTube channel, whatever. As James Knox politely says, kill me. So he's already very good. He's already looking forward to this race after a great race one. But Rockwell has confirmed he is going to be racing, which is good to say the least. I hope it is. I hope he's fine to race, I think. Do you think?
He says he seems to have bounded to where he can toggle auto shifter on and off, so if anything happens he can just transition onto auto shifter up. I know it's going to be slow, but if he doesn't involve himself in any accidents, then he's going to be able to finish the race. So I think in the end, with how we saw race 1 pan out, it might prove important.
Yes.
Who knows, you know. You never know with FS2 anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I've given up predicting FS2 since race 3. Remco, do you have any comments or thoughts or prayers?
I don't think we can.
Okay, I'm not going to broadcast that. I am not going to broadcast that. Well done. I hope you're happy. You don't know what to say. Do you think?
Listen,
do you think this?
He's a man who knows what he wants. He's a man who knows what he wants. Even though we cannot share that knowledge publicly on stream.
Can we call this Grand Prix the Benny Lux Grand Prix?
Why?
So instead of just,
what's the use of it?
So it like operates on a more bigger scale. Like, think about it. Like Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg all have a Grand Prix. I think it'd be cool.
Attention, grid will all
Ooh, we've got great news, and we'll come up with that great news after this sweet video. Ready. Okay, we got news from our broadcast director that since race 1 was so hectic, there is an opportunity that race 2 could be actually cleaner than race 1. So this could be.
Sounds more like wishful thinking to me, you know.
You lied to me.
Is it Remco?
Says,
No, I don't think it's a
Remco
chance
says
at
it's
all.
the best chance this season. We need
season.
Remco wired up. We need like Remco wired up so you can understand the absolute nonsense he is speaking on this broadcast group. Because it just sounds like I'm speaking with myself. Denley is confirmed to be the missing driver for round 2, which is pretty sad. Remco has jinxed it now, so that means... Wait, Denley's not the trouble... Wait, Denley is a troublemaker, but he's not a troublemaker in the sense of causing incidences. Anyways, we're moving on track anyways. Let's start through the 10 laps of the sprint race. Sorry very much, Alfie Denley. Something Alfie Tiger, or sorry, Ty Tiger. On the reverse grid pole position, it is going to be the Mano, the Manny, the Candad. He'll be starting at P1, followed with Lucas Matchlik for Orbit Motorsports in second place. Chris Davis for Camera Racing Team is in third, with Justin Van der Smissen for VMS Science Racing is in P4. That completes for row 2. For row 3, we've got Craig Powers for Priority 1 and Micha Luvink in 6th for McKenna Racing. Dan Hayek for Emerald Overdrive will follow through with David Yunt for row 4. For row 5, it is David Free, and then it is Magnus Ockenhag who's just ahead of Christian Glomsetter. Mark Salagi will complete through row 6. Through to P13, it is going to be Francesco Grimlitzi and Jonas Karla. The ones that finished 1 and 2 will be starting in that row in 7th. Then following with that, it is Amir Hazik and Joe Gillette, both 15th and 16th for them. Anthony Duval is in 17th. The Eric Brown Honda Simulation is 18th. Tyson Shah for Emerald Overdrive is 19th and falls through with the highest placed Hansco Mebus of ST Racing in P20. Andre Canalia is 21st, James Knox is 22nd, Eamon Lau is 23rd, and Sofian Amara is 24th. James Wackheim for Fretchenair is 25th, Philip Savinsky is 26th, Ricardo Bassani is 27th, and Jamie Klopp is 28th. Following through to the last 2 cars onto the grid is Mihailo Vincentievich in 29th, and Pablo Mata for MXVO completes through our now 30-car grid. 10 laps, 30 cars. Does that mean that we're going to see 10 retirements in 3 laps?
I mean, to be quite completely honest with you, I would not be surprised if that happens at this point in the season anymore. We've seen worse things happen this season, previous seasons as well. Spain last year comes to mind immediately, because that was definitely something to witness. But hopefully we don't have a situation like that today, and I mean, I do feel like a DNF at least 1 is inevitable, but hopefully it is just 1. And whoever it is,
I think
tough luck.
I think Edward Hunter lives in pain, but yes, silent. Thank you very much, Remco. Hunter Birch is in the YouTube chat, so he can happily tell us when was the last time Hunter Birch Simulation started on pole position. I think it might have been Monza, but I think that's the last time they had a front row in terms of a sprint race. But Manamani Candidate will be starting in a very unlikely P1. And Lucas Matchlik, who's been pretty decent and quite under the radar in recent races, he's been finding a way to start from P20, make up 5 positions and try to get within the edge of the points. He's got a good position in hand to maybe even get a podium, and this could be the damage control that we were saying earlier that Orbit Motorsports needs against Fox Esports. Pablo Mata will be the last of the drivers to line up onto their grid slot as he takes his time, and everyone will slowly start to line up, and everyone is nice and ready. Manu Manikan is the one that's going to lead us all down through turn 1 as the 5 laps going to come on. The lights are off, and we're 10 laps of racing in Belgium. Decent start there by Mano as he's going to do his best to fight off Lucas, but Lucas, I think, might have had the better start as he's going to swing his way outside through turn 1. And Mano Manikanta immediately denies him the opportunity right on exit. Justin Van Smith and Chris Davis side by side already on the exit out of the first corner. Now goes single file, and we now approach through to Radion, through to Rouge. Lucas sticking down from behind the Indian driver as it is Mano that is leading on the exit through to the camel stretch now. And Machulik going to look for an opportunity. Looks for that side now, switches back over to the right hand side. No DRS available for him yet, but he's going to look for the inside line down into turn. He's going to look to outbrake Mano, and is it going to pay off for Lucas? I think it does so. Really late on the brakes it goes, and he will happily take the lead out for Lacombe. Fantastic there from Lucas to get the lead in this first lap. Mano Manikanta now holding on to second place. We'll have to worry about Van der Smith and Davis behind, as you can see a little bit of battling going on from behind as the Fox Esports both go side by side between each other, as it's Magnus Organite that starts to lose out and almost loses even more from Carlo behind. But no, everything sticks together in one piece. No retirement so far, so Remco's absurd comments seem to be true.
So far, it's still lap 1 of 10. There's still a 10 for the race to go, obviously. But oh, there we go, Justin Van der Smissen trying to make a move on the inside of Mano Manikanta. Not working, not close enough. Backs out just in time to prevent an accident between the two of them. Mano Manikanta still keeps P2 for now, but look at the gap that's opened up between himself and Lucas Matulik. He's got already, oh, Justin Van der Smissen there on the gravel, on the outside there of Campus. Going to Stavelot. He's lost massive time on Mano Manikanta, and now it's Chris Davis attacking him for P3. Craig Patterson is also there. The Guernsey native trying to attack the England native and the Dutch driver there. Oh, it might have been nearly 3 wide here. Dan Hike is very close to them as well. Chris Davis is going to have the inside line here, but he's going to have the outside line in the final corner. He's going to lose out to Dan Hike. Little bit of a love tap from behind by Craig Patterson on Chris Davis, but he still keeps the position for now. Mika Leuvink is there as well now. There's yellow flags being waved. I think that's someone going wide out of the final corner. It might have been one of the Elk International cars, might have been Aman Lal or Jamie Klomp. There's still yellow flags being waved around. It's Jonas Carola falling down, and I think it might have been Aman Lal as well. No, it's Jonas Carola falling down massively, and is the Finnish driver still in the race.
I think he still is, but that is not at all a good sign, and the yellow flag is still waving, so it must have been a very, very heavy one. But the battle between Van der Smith and Hayek, Davis and Luvik has still been going on amidst all that carnage going on, and it might almost be 3 wide as Luvik is going to go for a battle against Davis, and it's still going to be quite tight in the battle for P4. Davis gets beaten by Luvik and gets beaten by Van der Smith in 2 corners, and the Englishman finds himself back down the order into P6. Could be at risk of being leached out by Craig Patterson, who's at 7th, who has to fend off from David Junt, De Vries, Salagi, Okenhag and Glomsetter, as we're now back to a single car train for the time being. An absolute colossal fight that we've seen, but again, that battle has meant that Hayek is 1.3 seconds away from Manikandan.
Yeah, but we see Dan Hayek, who had a bit of a underwhelming race for one on account of all the battles he wanted to hold it, mostly in the camel straight. Here's what happened to Jonas Carola first of all. Jonas Carola last. I don't think he's in retired yet. And
and there's nothing you can do in that moment. You have to wait for all the cars to go through, and that's exactly why Carla has dropped it. So look, he just can't really move, and he has to be absolutely sure he has to move out the way. And yeah, unfortunately for Carla, he's just had a collision at practically the worst possible place on track, and I don't think a place worse than to spin it there, really. So unfortunately he's lost so many positions. He has to try and get back for the order. Chris Davis though up against Van der Smith, and that was falling through behind. That was, oh god, that was his teammate David De Vries making up a couple of positions. He's overtaken one Aquila Racing driver. He's going en route to overtake another, but he's kind of squeezed, and we'll have to worry about the Fox Esports coming from behind of Glomsetter, who's almost looking over through. Ooh, goodness me, that's so close, but Glomsetter presses onto the brakes, but luckily he will be enough to make an overtake against Salagi. So Salagi drops down to Glomsetter, enters into the top 10. Salagi holding in against the skin of his teeth. but has to back down because he does not have the advantage coming through to Erouge. He still sticks through behind with the DRS though. Through ahead, we've got Luvic and Hayek. This is the battle for P3, and Luvic could be going side by side. Oh my goodness me!
That's in the background.
Yes, that is Gillard. That is hit, and he's rejoined back into the pack. That's going to be absolutely monumental damage, and he's dropped down through the order. Really down. There's been no contact there. I don't think there's been any contact.
Oh. We didn't really quite see because we were looking at the battle between Luvic and Hayek, but we can take a look back at what exactly happened to Joe Gillette here. We're trying to make a move on Francesco Grimalizzi on the outside of Kemmel before the Kemmel straight. There's a door on him, and no, he was the only one who suffered any contact. There's going to be massive nose damage for the Englishman, but he's going to be able to continue. Just with massive damage. It could have been, but it wasn't.
Yeah,
I think that's the only thing that matters right now for Joe Gillette, and I see Samuel Sladov in the chat as well. Very displeased with the show there, but the show must go on, and Joe Gillette has nothing else to do but fight his way back through the field yet again, as we see Anthony Duvala, first DNF of the race. So no academy cars are going to finish in this race too, as David De Vrij is under attack by David Junt here, going into the bus stop, and that is Christian Glomsetter right behind him as well, but not able to interfere.
Overtake by Debris to hold on to 8. I think we could see Glomsetter try to make an offense against Junta. We could be seeing it now with the DRS in hand. They're going to go for the corner, but look at this. Oh my goodness me, Salagi, very last minute. Oh, and it could be last minute for contact as they both make contact. Glomsetter holding into the outside line. Not much you could do there. Salagi, I think just a little bit of the unders there, but still, Okanag trying his best to insert himself into the picture, but Salagi holds on, occupies the track that Okanag so desires. And that will allow for Magnus to just back off a little bit for the time being, but he's got a heavy slipstream advantage against Salagi, and you can just see that Glomsetter is best defender from the Killer Racing driver, but also penetrate Yunt up ahead for P9. What way is this going to go between these two teams, between Aquila and Fox, as Okanag manages to launch down for the outside line, and that will be, I think, almost P11 until, no, he doesn't. Salagi just manages to fend off, and he's still side by side between these two, but the very long hairpin holds onto the inside line in Salagi's favor. Okanag is doing his absolute best to hug it through, and he does so for the inside for No Name, and I think Okanag, with enough of an open up, will be able to take for P11, although a little bit very messy, but still invites Salagi into the picture, and this is going to be pretty dangerous here to go side by side in this corner. Super close. Are they still going to keep on track? Yes, they do, and Okanag will hold on to P11 for that moment, but look at the time that he's lost to his team at 1.4 seconds from that side by side action as someone kicks dust up ahead, but the Fox Esports driver finally manages to beat Salagi at the very last moment, but that really cost them both huge amounts of times to their teammates.
Yeah, but look at the two cars behind them here, Amir. It's Yongsha and Knox yet again, right next to each other. We've seen what happened in race 1 immediately at the start. We're now about to enter the halfway point of race 2, about to cross the line for lap 5 to start. James Knox and Faisal Yongsha battling yet again. Now looked very close between the two of them, and I think Yongsha now trying to make a move on both Glomsetter, now Orkenhaug and Silagi at the same time, but it's not going to be able to. Knox gives him a little bit of a push. It might have helped him, you know, there to try and attack Silagi there, a bit loose for the final corner, still alongside with Magnus Orkenhaug though, and no, Mark Silagi, sorry, and Silagi still has the inside line. Oh, Glomsetter, something has happened to Christian Glomsetter, might have been in contact with David Junt.
Yeah, and he's dropped out of the point scoring position entirely. Down to 16th, Christian has, and this is just so unfortunate for not only for himself but for Fox Esports as a whole, because Magnus Okanag has got no help at all at the front, so he has to do all the overtaking on his own. And my goodness me, this is just very fortunate. James Knox, though, is going to try his best to battle against Ty Youngsha. 3 wide already, heading to turn number 4, and Knox is going to... Oh my goodness me, contact though between Salagi and Knox. Salagi goes for the inside. Contact going from behind, though. Contact from behind. That was Eric Brennett that has managed to hit the one, lose the front wing, and he will still manage to continue. But alas, oh my goodness me, there's absolutely carnage everywhere going on. That was Mihailo Vicentievich that was cut in the corner ahead, and it just seems to have been blown completely wide open, and Eric Brenner luckily managed to keep the car on track, but unfortunately he will be out of the point scoring position entirely, and we'll have to go to the pits for repairs. Up ahead though, Okanag against Salagi, and Okanag swings it around through. Salagi trying his best to make a cut through, and he does do it. Is it going to be enough though to really cement he's going to have the outside line for here? But here comes Grimalitzi though with the Okanag slipstream, but he's not close enough to insert himself, and with that offense, Salagi has got no choice but to slot in behind Okanag for the time being. My goodness me.
Oh, can we take a look back at what exactly happened there on the Camel Straight? There were so many things going on. We saw Knox make contact with Salagi, that it didn't impede anyone. Eric Brenner then just, we didn't quite get a good look at what happened there to the Norwegian, and then we just saw someone cut through the entire Lacombe. This is what happened to Eric Brenner.
Oh.
What exactly happened to Eric Brenner? Oh, okay.
Oh dear.
Let's move forwards.
No.
Let's move on.
He's squeezed in between the two. You can't really. I think he thought he was overtaken, but unfortunately not, and it's kind of cost it. This is what happened to Glomsetter up ahead, who's actually down in 20 seconds, so something even more must have happened to him, I believe. Did he get to... it's the same thing we've seen with Carla as well. It's the same thing
happened
we've
at
seen
the beginning of it all. So I
Yeah,
thought it was
so-
contact with David Kuhn, but he was trying to make a move on, I think it was David de Vrij, and then just
Oh, that was
behind.
Bassani then, I think. So that might have been Bassani going for behind,
What
and this is
happened
Glomsetter
here?
again. Oh, he tries to swing in
Hazik.
through, tries to throw it down to the inside, and it's just not possible for Glomsetter whatsoever. You think that's Hazik's fault?
No, I think that is Glomsetter going for a space that was never going to be there and paying the consequence.
Oh, my
Almost
word!
like the Sockenhaug! What is going
It's gone
on
for
to the Fox
Fox
Esports drivers?
Esports. And this is their first race, which they're defending their championship lead, and it's kind of falling apart for them.
Oh, that's Joe Gillette now battling with Magnus Sockenhaug. So, Orbit... Remco telling us he can't keep up. I think neither can we, as it's lap 6 now. We're going to enter lap 7 in about half a minute now. We haven't been able to keep up with the front. Someone else has gone off now. Oh,
That's
Sophie
amazing.
Amara.
Sophie and Amara, but manages to keep it under control, and luckily with the amount of concrete area, does keep it through. But my goodness me, Okanag and
Something has happened to Mane Kandan because he was in P2 and now he dropped to P4.
Yep, you're right, and that's Luvik gone to second, Hayek into third, and Patterson on the offense against Van der Smithson, who's doing his best to defend, will prevent him from making an overtake for the time being. Oh my goodness me, this is just absolute complete carnage, and we're almost about we're 30% left of the race to go, and Mane Kandan, who's lost the podium place, it's not quite over with it yet. In fact, Mano has done very good to honestly withhold the pace. Actually, we've not really seen him hold to top 5 paces throughout the season, but he seems to be pretty comfortable in the position that he is. If Hayek and Luvik battle, we could see Mano as a spoiler to get himself his first podium this season.
Yeah, but what happened to Mane Kandan? Because he lost 2 places, dropped from 2nd to 4th in the span of very little time, as Dan Hayek now seems to be going for that P2, where realistically he should be challenging every single race. Wasn't that lucky in the first race, now gets up into that P2. Very well deserved for the Czech driver. I mean, looking at it now, it's a Czech 1-2. Matalik in P1, Hayek in P2. There's Mark Silagi making a move on Francesco Grimalizzi for P12, and he makes it stick into Lacombe. Mark Silagi got 3rd in race 1, currently P12 in this race too though. So, I don't know. I would like to take a look, if we can right now, to what happened to Mane Kandan and why he dropped 2 places.
Ask and you shall receive. Like, oh, Salaki is retired? Oh boy. No, I don't think he has retired. That was just the formation lap, I believe. But this is what happened to Mano, who's only to 2nd place. Is it too hard in the accelerator on the exit? No, he goes wide. That's fine.
Did he have to yield time?
No, he could.
Or does
no,
he make a
you're
move?
not.
Does he make a mistake into the source?
Could be lost source because, again, lost 2 simple positions. Or could just simply be overtaken. it looks more likely he's getting overtaken from the scenes, because you can't really like make a mistake through Rouge and Radion and just only lose 2 positions, unless if you have a really bad exit.
It doesn't look like
So
a
there's
double
Luvink.
move.
He
Dan
makes
Hike
through
is
to the inside. So there's Luvink, side by side, through to La Source. Yeah, that's a easy overtake. So did Hayek behind also just do an overtake as well, like that? I think it must have been. So
Oh!
there it is.
There we go.
That's the moment. We found it.
Was that
So
contact with
he's just
Luvink?
No, he just put a wheel into the grass. I
Ah.
think it was.
Okay, we lost too much time. Let's get back to live racing. Come on.
Yep, let's go back. Thank you very much, Remco, our Lord and Savior. We're back over to live pictures with a handful of laps left to go. And actually, Matulik is holding to a very comfortable lead at the moment, with the Fox Esports in literal damage control now at this moment. Orbit Motorsports could be in a way to, do their best to hold it back. But Luvink and Hayek still in a battle for P2. And it's Luvink that will hold on through to the outside, and we'll take it. Hayek is trying to look for something to respond, but hasn't quite anything got in hand.
Well, that's Chris
Davis
Davis.
and James Knox in exchange for a battle for P9, and Knox will make his way through to 9th place, as De Vries and Yunt are the next ones onto his list.
Oh!
As Rockwright makes contact with Amir Hazik for P15. Actually, for instance, Amir Hazik is still holding to 15th, which is massively impressive for the Malaysian, but could be at risk of losing this to a man who doesn't have a shifter, which is incredibly impressive. Well done, James Rockwright. You are my driver of the day.
Even if he doesn't lose it on track, he might lose it with penalties, because that looked very suspicious at a first glance for Amir Hazik. There was contact, obvious contact, but it's a question of whether Hazik opened up his steering to hit Rockwright off, unintentionally of course, but still enough to gain back the position and defend it, or whether Rockwright just had more speed and turned in more. It's something we need to take a look at, but we don't have the time to look at it because there's so many things going on. For example, Manu Manikandan here challenging Dan High for P3 going into the final bus stop.
Yeah, he's trying to look at that for the inside line, immediately caught Hayek immediately by surprise, so Hayek can't do much to respond, and Manu Manikandan does it in a fantastic overtake, and there's nothing that Dan could do to respond at this moment in time. What a great overtake there by the Indian driver as he inserts himself back up into the podium scene. And with this fighting going on, Van Smith and Craig Parson means that Hayek has to be very careful and very selective in terms of when he wants to make his overtake against Mano. But that was fantastic though.
It was a very good overtake, but as you said, oh, Manu Manikandan loose had a La Source there, is going to allow Dan Hayek to get a move on yet again on the camel straight. But as you said, Amir, it's a question of whether he wants to make that move, because we saw it in race 1. Francesco Grimolizzi got passed on the final lap for the race lead and the eventual win by Jonas Kaurala because of the slipstream and the RS combo on the camel straight. There he goes, Dan Hayek back up into P3. P2 seems out of reach by now. Luvik is too far back. Manu Manikandan thinks of a move yet again into Lacombe. Doesn't make it work. He's too far back. And Manu Manikandan, I think if he keeps the gap as it is right now, makes no mistakes, he will be able to challenge Dan Hayek yet again on the camel straight next lap.
Yep, through Manikandan loses the position. James Rockwright up against that will be Amir Hazik for P16. So again, it's dropped over. That has allowed for Ricardo Bassani to get into P15. And Lau is doing his best to defend from Glomsetter, who's trying his best to score, at least not make it a completely pointless Fox Esports race from the incidences that Glomsetter and Ockenhag had to suffer with. But he's kind of off of the back foot with that. He has to overtake a handful of drivers in order to get that point scoring position. But never dismiss Christian. He could be able to do it if luck ever sways his favour. And no better time to do that than now with the 1.5 laps left to go. You can see his teammate already further on back. And actually, we've only got 27 cars racing, so Remco was right. This was much cleaner than it was in race 1. So well done, FS2 drivers. I am very proud of you all. On to this Van der Smissen though against Manu Manikandan. So Manikandan seems to have lost all the momentum that he's had against his battle against Hayek and could be at risk of losing out of the top 5 altogether. As we see further back, James Knox with an overtake against Craig Parson is going to make it 2 in 2 corners. He's certainly going to try, and it will not quite be, but he will be in prime condition to take P5 away from Justin Van der Smissen. He has the inside line coming into the first corner, and easy as you like it'll be. James Knox that gets 5th place as he overtakes Craig Parson and Van der Smissen in 3 corners.
He does, but now this is a This has allowed Manamani Kanda now to peel off. So Manamani Kanda now safe in P4 as it stands, because James Knox has Van der Smissen and Patterson right behind him as yellow flags in sector 1. Someone is falling off massively, and we don't know quite well who it is. It's going to be 3 wide here, maybe on the Camel Straight. Knox is closing off the inside, but Van der Smissen makes it stick. Patterson on the outside. Knox keeps the position. Slight contact. Van der Smissen over the curbs. Rejoins behind Patterson, and he had to, I think.
Oh my goodness,
He's
you're
still
absolutely
going for
defense there by Patterson. And immediately Van der Smissen couldn't quite go on the offense as was. Who's out?
Rockway is out, so Rockway is out of the race. It might have been yet again something with Amir Zeeuw. We're going to have to take a look at it after if we have the time. There's so much going on right now here that we just can't be able to see it. David de Vrij is still in P9. He's losing momentum on David Jont. And I think Van der Smissen has lost momentum on Craig Patterson as well. James Knox is always very, very close to Manamani Kanda, but I think it won't be enough time for the Englishman to beat Manikandan here.
He's 4 tenths, he might give it a try. He might certainly give it a try with the opportunistic move. I think it could be enough if the cards do align. With a bit of smoke kicking up ahead, we look ahead for Lucas Matchlick though, who brings Orbit to the top step of the race. For again, and it's the first ever win for Lucas as well in FS2, as James Knox is certainly going to give Manamani Kanda. It could be enough. It could be a last position change that we see from James Knox through to the inside for the final corner. James Knox will take 4th place, but it's up to Matchlick, who brings Orbit back into the top step of the podium as he wins the sprint race in Spa-Francorchamps, and Nature Lufik will complete through to 2nd place, and Dan Hayek rounds off for the top 3. James Knox on the final corner beats Manamani Kanda, and he will take a very impressive sprint 4th place. And Manamani Kanda, who started on reverse grid pole position, I think will still be extraordinarily happy with 5th place. A great race that was from Lucas, I must say.
Very, very calm, very, very cool race by Lucas Matchlick. He got past Manamani Kanda on lap 1, and he never looked back for the remainder of that race. The gap was always 2 seconds. It only fell off below 2 seconds in the final lap, maybe 2 to Mika Leiving, but Leiving too far back. He needed that 3 more laps maybe to catch up to Matchlick that they had in the feature race, but I think Lucas Matchlick can deservedly do those donuts, and I think this is the first time we're going to hear the Czech anthem since, gosh, when was it? Canada? Yeah, it was Canada. Dan Hayek at Canada, indeed.
Absolutely. But we do have the quick replay to see what has happened. I think we've mentioned you wanted a replay earlier. This is with Rockway. So, has the shifter gone again? No. Oh, that's so unfortunate for James. He was within point scoring position without a shifter. That is honestly an incredible feat. Rockway, again, you're my driver of the day. Do not be deterred. That was probably your best drive yet.
Yeah, very impressive drive for someone with a toggle for auto shifting, basically, to be battling for the lower end of the points, admittedly, but still to be able to fight for the points, but doesn't finish in them. But here is who did finish in the points. Lucas Matchlick wins his first race in Formula Sprint 2. Mika Leiving back on the podium for the first time since Jeddah, I think it was. And in P2 as well, Dan Hayek. Not quite the win that someone like Mateusz Pishan was touting, but it's still a P3 and a deserved P3 at that as well. James Knox climbs back up to P4 after a disastrous race 1, and Manamani Kanda impresses with his best result in Formula Sprint 2 to date. A very good P5 for Hunter Burge, which is going to serve them very well in the battle against the Academy team and ST Racing in the lower end of the team's championship. Craig Patterson in P6, Justin van der Smissen in P7, David Jont in P8, David de Vrij P9. So the two Davids yet again inseparable here at Spa. Chris Davis in P10, and then in P11 it was FaZe Youngstra who climbed back up as well. Not quite as well as James Knox, but still got some good points in the end after that disastrous race 1. Francesco Grimalizzi, not quite the P2 from race 1, but it's P12. Still good points for McManus, especially with Alfie Denley not racing in this one. Mark Silagi in P13 and Andrea Kinaya in P14, who we didn't see much of in both of these races, especially race 1, but still got points in the end in race 2. Ricardo Bissani in P15 rounding out the point scoring positions. Amir Hazik unfortunately was not able to get double points this time around in P16. And then Christian Glomsetter in P17 and Magnus Hockenhagen in P19. The first time this season that neither of the Fox Esports cars had scored points, and then Aman Lal slots in between them in P18 for Elk International. Jonas Karola down in P20 after her unfortunate accident at the beginning of the race. Philip Chawinski in P21. Jamie Klump P22, Joe Gillette in P23, Mihailovic and Tievich in P24, Sofia Namara P25, Eric Brenner P26, and then our DNFs James Rockwhite P27, Pablo Mata P28, Hansko Mebius P29, and Anthony Duval in P30.
That has been a pretty good second race with oh god, the positions that were changed and all the on-track action that was in the lead, I think was pretty sweet. And you know what else is going to be pretty sweet? Interviews, everyone's favorite part of the stream. Everyone, please turn your streams off now. No, I'm only joking. But yeah, good race from the first two that we have seen. Yeah.
I see Lucas Metalik waiting for an interview. I think it's only fair.
Is Slavov gonna come or no?
Well, I don't. Well, Leivink isn't on the same team as Metalik, so I see no reason.
Yeah, fair enough. I'll bring in Matulik then, I think.
Oh, we have Samuel Slavov as well. Let's get the team boss on board as well.
Oh, hello.
Yep, I told you. I told you. Lucas, Samuel, you're us.
Hello, Samuel.
Hold up. Okay, my microphone's on.
Yeah, just don't swear again.
Or say anything else. But yeah. Lucas, first race win.
Yeah.
I imagine you must be extremely happy having started from P2. And yeah, how do you feel?
I'm genuinely surprised. I did not think I would be anywhere near the top 5. Silverstone was a big struggle, and then I had a penalty for today, so I started 31st in the first race. Went through a spin, several crashes, but I got onto the reverse grid P2, and yeah, just got a clean star. I looked at what happened in the previous race, and yeah, just took it to the end. That was the longest 10 laps of my life.
Enzo?
I thought you were going to ask Samuel something. Well, I will then instead.
Oh, Samuel. Hello.
Hello.
That's rude. I'm going to be kinder to him, you know. I'm going to be kinder to him than you.
Samuel, it's your first race win. It's your first race win in quite a long one. I think it's like been 3 races or so. You've said to yourself, I think before the race, how it was important to kind of hold the momentum that Fox Esports had. Do you feel like this race win that Lucas Matulik has delivered in the second race is a good sign, for a sign of things to come for the last 6 races, especially for the fight between yourself and Fox Esports for the lead slowly starting to ramp up?
I think looking like when the season ends, and when I look back at whatever happened in the championship, I think this would be one of those key races where Lucas put in a good result, got points in race 1, won in race 2. I'll definitely have a memory of this race when the season finishes. I think this race was very, like, a big key, because both Fox cars didn't get points in race 2, which was very important. Nothing bad against them, but I just needed that to happen. And him securing the win even makes it sweeter. And the GOAT, Joey Gillette, I butchered it, sort of, but I'm glad I got him. Even though he didn't get points, he had a solid drive on a very short notice, 1-2 days of notice. So yeah, I'm very happy with the team result today. And good job to my drivers.
All right, Lorenzo, I'll let you.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a question for you, Samuel. First, obviously, a bit of a slump currently for Orbit Motorsports, but as you mentioned, neither of the Fox Esports cars got points in that second race, and with Lucas winning the race, that means that provisionally, Orbit is only 12 points behind Fox. Do you think that you can carry that again in 2 weeks' time onto Hungary and potentially get back into the lead of the Teams Championship?
Hold up, let me think. Can you say it again?
You're now 12 points provisionally behind Fox
Yep.
Esports. Do you think you can jump them in the team standings again after Hungary?
At the minute, I'm gonna be honest. I love how my team is shaping up right now. Like for replacement drivers, since Ben and Casper can't race anymore. Lucas is a perfect replacement for any of the two. He's done a very, very good job since joining. I'm definitely going to be keeping him. For the second seat, nothing is still secure, so that's the reason I think why we're gonna probably keep about the same pace as Fox and maybe be a few points behind. But when I get someone securely in that second seat, like a guaranteed season contract, I think things are gonna change from then, because team chemistry is gonna start to build, setups are gonna be better, and we'll just have like a more solidified group. Because right now, for next race, it might not be Joey, it might be someone else. So I just can't know for sure what kind of result I'll get from one of the cars next race. So that's why I think we'll be a few points back, but in the final races, I think we're gonna have to be catching up.
A question for you, Lucas, to close off this Orbit Motorsports interview. After so many good performances in Academy, you finally managed to get that win in Formula Sprint 2. You've got one more emergency drive left in you before you need to find a team permanently. I'm assuming Samuel would be more than happy to keep you on board going forward into the season, but do you think you can do more of these performances for the remainder of the season?
I mean, the pace is definitely there. Just my biggest struggle is setups. I've never really been familiar with building setups, so that's just something I need help with. But if I get help with that, I can definitely keep doing top 5, top 3. So yeah, very optimistic for the Hungarian race.
Any further questions by you, Amir?
Hello.
It's not a question though.
Who is the big V?
You are. I now know that now, so thanks very
That's
much.
right. That's right, Amir. Now you know.
Yeah, I hope your Bulgarian basketball Instagram page goes as well as your FS2 team owning career.
Yeah, sponsor the league
Wow.
with it.
All right, bro. All right, leaking me on the stream as well. All right, bro.
Sponsor it.
Don't
Sponsor the
worry.
league with it.
Nah, this was an ad though. This was an ad. Is GPWC
No one
gonna
will
sue
know. No one will know. Like there could be tons. There could be billions.
Kyle
of
McManus is a
Bulgarian fans.
basketball fan, and Alfie Denley already DM'd me on it, saying some
Is
bullshit.
Lorenzo a basketball fan? Is the question.
He likes the Bucks.
Casual. I'm a
He's
casual.
a
Casual.
casual. He's a casual.
What about you, Lucas?
We have people waiting. I don't think we can get to discuss this.
Is this
Yeah,
over?
that's fine.
I want to go.
Yeah, exactly.
what do you
Yeah,
Thank
you
you,
can go.
Lucas. Thank you.
All right,
See
thanks
ya.
guys.
Thanks, everyone. See you. Take ta-da.
Who do we get on board next? Who do we get on
Nobody.
board?
So
We
let's go
have a
away.
lot of people. We have a lot of people waiting. I think it's fair
I
that we
do-
get.
I bring in James Knox
we-
and. Actually, no, I can't.
I think it's fair we bring in James Knox.
Did he win?
No.
Jonas Carla.
But
That's what I
Jonas
want to bring.
Carla did.
Jonas, hello.
Hello.
Hello. You won race 1. It's your it's your first race win since Sepang, but having won, you've become the 8th different race winner in FS2. So, how are your thoughts? First thoughts on your 3rd race win this season?
Yeah, it was more difficult for sure. I had to fight a lot. It was a lot of back and forth with Grimolitsi, but I had to wait a lot until like last lap and make the overtake, which almost killed me, but it felt good. And race 2 was just unlucky.
You mentioned your battle with Grimolitsi as well. We did see you, I think, halfway through the race, in terms of you defending from Grimolitsi, that you locked up. How did you feel like you had to be more cautious on the tires, locking up, after having locked up, having to defend from Grimolitsi, or what was your mind rushing in terms of having to defend from the Italian? And what was your final thoughts when you've finally managed to cement it after the overtake in the Camel Straight to win?
I don't know. The brakes were like overheating a lot. It was really hard to not lock up, but I managed it somehow. And big respect for Grimolitsi. Did really well in race 1.
You okay?
Yeah.
You sound tired or sleepy.
Yeah, I'm tired.
Fair enough. We'll make this interview short. But well done, Jonas. Lorenzo, any questions for him?
Just one. You're now 9 points behind FaZe for the battle in the 3rd in the standings, but with Ben Skinner seemingly not showing up anytime soon, do you think you can get past FaZe? Maybe try and challenge Christian as well?
I think so. There's always a chance. But I have to getting these results and see what happens.
Yeah, that's about as short and logical of an answer I was expecting for someone like you, Jonas.
Yeah.
Thank you a lot for joining us.
How far behind I'm? How far behind
you are 9 points behind FaZe and 66 behind Christian.
Okay, that was a decent chunk.
That, I mean, if you win both of the races in the next round and Christian gets no points, that's a 16-point gap then.
Okay. Well,
but yeah,
I will try my best.
Exactly. Thank you, Jonas, for joining us on track today and for joining us here in the commentary booth. And
thank you.
Best of luck in 2 weeks' time in Hungary.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good luck.
Okay.
Right.
So we have a lot of people waiting for an interview, and I think with the podium that they got.
I want to check Remco's okay.
There you go. We have time.
Remco, I recommend like getting a coffee or a blanket or something just to make yourself cozy.
We won't do everyone, but we will do.
I will do everyone. I'll happily do everyone.
Okay. Well, I think the first people we do then is the McKenna team, followed by Emerald Overdrive, and then Hunter Birch.
Alrighty. Sounds like a plan.
Okay. Do we
have?
Fine,
I'll bring
we have Dan Hayek. We have.
Hello.
Oh. Hello.
Hello.
There we go.
Wow. Ludwig, well done. Another podium added through to your. I think you've only started in Saudi Arabia, but you've still, I think, added another accolade. And I think for you yourself, McKenna, I think you still hold on to a pretty good momentum. You, I think, are outscored. No, not outscored. You hold on to 5th very comfortably as well. So, Ludwig, how do you feel? And I know for you, Savinsky, I know it's been a bit of a hard race for you, especially for the disconnects that you've had. So I want to hear from all your races in your own perspectives, but for you, Micha, I want to hear you from yours first.
Okay, hello.
Hi.
Yeah, race went well. I think it's the first clean weekend I've had, except for one little little tap. But I think for the rest of the race was a tough one for especially race 1. But lucky to stay out of the trouble with a lot of crashes on at the start and got up to P11, and from then on just did my best, and then unfortunately didn't get any higher. P7, P6 was in reach, but yeah, then just kept it in 9th. And race 2 was perfect with how the overtaking turned out, and a hard fight with Hayek. So yeah, congratulations, he did a very good job as well. And then just finished in 2nd and very happy.
What?
That was it. That was my thoughts.
Fair enough. Philip?
Well, I mean, it's just unlucky at this point. I don't know what. I mean, maybe I would need to look for fixes for the issues I have with the internet connection. I don't know what's really going on at this point. So yeah, I just need to hope that I do something that fixes the issues. Like, as I said in the chat, I had a pole lap set in qualifying, but the game disconnected me right in the main straight, so it didn't count, which is unfortunate. And race 1, yeah, it just couldn't even do anything. Got disconnected twice there, tried to rejoin to just maybe get at the better position for race 2, but no. In race 2, I got taken out by Anthony Duval. I mean, not taken out, got pretty big damage because unfortunately he lost his brakes. If you've seen what happened in like a iRacing Spa event with Team Redline, you just look it up and you know what happened there. That same thing happened for me, so I'm lucky to finish today.
Yeah, I'm very glad you did finish as well. It's been, I think, very unlucky for your end. I think a Dynamo could have been a very strong McKenna weekend. But yourself, Nova, I think ups and downs, I think, from your end, but I think you've still hold good momentum in the teams overall.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm happy with Mika. Mika did a phenomenal job coming back into race 2. Race 1 as well. The good points was a P9 at the end, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, great result for him. Unfortunate for Philippe. Had the pace, just unfortunate was internet, and then what happened in race 2, I suppose. Not more you can say much outside of what he said.
It's so unfortunate for him. Just so gutting how many points I think we've lost as a team as well because of these issues, and it doesn't help. Luckily I got some points, but I mean it would have been so much better if there weren't any disconnections. But that's how it goes, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Anzo, any questions for them?
Yeah, just the one question for Nova. You brought up the amount of points lost due to Philip's internet issues. On the topic of points, you are now 80 behind Priority 1, currently 5th in the standings. Do you think you can overtake Priority 1 for P5 in the standings by the next break in the season, which is after Hockenheim?
All really dependent on what happens with Philippe, I suppose, because his internet is, I feel like, our main issue at the minute. The pace is there for both of them, but until that is fixed, I don't think we'll be able to catch them, unfortunately.
That's all from me.
Yeah, it does sound like it's the mixed bags of races for you both, and I think Philip's issues did tonight for what could have been a very, very strong race from you both, but still a lot of positives to be taken off regardless. Philip, I hope your issues get resolved, because I can understand that the frustrations that you might have, but thanks again for your time, everyone. Philip, really, I wish you all the best, and I hope you get better luck for the rest of the season. Misha, well done, another podium added to yourself. Sorry, Philip, sorry for interrupting.
Well, race 2 was a good site for the internet issues because no single issue there, so.
Yeah, that's true. That
maybe I managed to do something that will keep me going.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Yeah, Misha, well done on your podium as well. Fantastic performance from yourself as well. And
thank you.
Yeah, all the best to you, both Philip and Misha, for your next race, and also to you, to Nova, as well, for your team. Big thanks for your help.
Thank you.
Okay, I
Um,
think next on the agenda should be the Emerald Overdrives. We've got Nathaniel Skarupa waiting with his assistant Mateusz Piszczan, and Dan Hayek is there as well, so we're missing Faiz Youngstra, but with how the race panned
That's fine.
out, that is not necessarily surprising.
Yeah, I can understand, but we'll bring them all in, and we'll have a talk, and then we'll see
Hello,
how
bro.
this goes. Dan, Nathaniel, Mateusz, can you hear us?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dan, over to your end. I think it's been a pretty decent race from yourself. I don't think it's been. You've got yourself for another podium, I believe.
Yeah, I've scammed another podium.
You've got another podium. Mateusz was talking about how you'd get a podium, and nonetheless you've bloody done it again. Emerald Overdrive has now been 3 races with a podium streak. So for yourself, Dan, and for yourself, Nathaniel, what's your reaction to that statistic, and how did your races feel from your perspectives?
Both of them were quite horrific, actually. Especially race 1, because we made a mistake with the setup. Clearly, we just had more wing than everyone else. So as soon as any form of a straight, doesn't matter if it was 5 meters or 500 meters long, I just lost so much time. It's impossible to defend against anyone, and just I don't know. Just kind of a confusing race for how the car felt.
Are you World Cup in the background? Is that the World Cup in the background?
Yes.
What's the result? What's the result?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
One game. I'm fuming because I always preferred Ronaldo. I'm a Ronaldo fan, and when it was 2-0 to Egypt, I was really happy, and then it was 3-2. So my day is just ruined since then.
Damn, man.
And then I have to do GPV as well, so I'm just, not all that.
Makes sense.
Mateusz, completely fair. For how Emerald Overdrive performed, you deserve to watch the World Cup. Nathaniel, from your perspective on how your team did.
Okay, well, our team did really good for what the circumstances were, and all the luck that was thrown our way was just not there at all. But, I mean, they did really well with what they had, so I'm happy with that. But there are some choice words that I have regarding just driver standards in general in the series. It's just not the best known to man. And I don't know why. Maybe it's just because the fact that it's smaller races, they feel like there's a need to do more so quickly. But in any case, just like that first incident with Knox and Johnstra, like I get it from Knox's position because I've done the same thing a bajillion times, and it's just I don't necessarily blame him that much. But and this is even a separate incident that follows what I'm trying to talk about with Hockenhaug and Knox. Just zero room basically given, and just zero cares given at all, and it's just not the way I would like to compete in a series at all. So I mean, yeah, just other than that, I think it's been pretty decent.
And so
yeah, I've got just the one question for Nathaniel. As it stands with the results without any penalties, you are 15 points behind Orbit, who are in second, and 27 behind Fox, who are still in first. Do you think you can close the gap, or maybe jump one or both of them before the next break in the season, which is after Hockenheim?
I would definitely say we can. Yeah, I could definitely say we could jump Orbit, since seems like only kind of one half of the team is like somewhat back on form ish, but even then, no disrespect to I forgot their name. Fuck, but they've been doing really good. They've just been doing really good for despite the drivers, Casper Kurtz and Ben Skinner not choosing not to compete anymore, I feel like they found themselves a decent set of drivers to at least do a little bit of damage control, but not too much to, I don't think, to fight for the championship. At least from what I'm seeing right now. But in any case, it would be a tight finish with Fox, definitely. They've been really, really consistent, almost annoyingly consistent, and I mean, we just got really lucky with both of them not finishing in race 2. So.
Fair enough. That makes sense. Big congrats though. I think honestly, like Emil Dorojev has probably been. You probably agree with me, Lorenzo. Probably one of the standout teams of the second half of the season we've had so far. Like, they've been consistently outscoring like other teams, which is very, very impressive, especially for a new one as well. So well done for you, Dan. Well done to you, Tice, who's not here. And yeah, all the best luck for your next race in. Oh fuck! What was that again?
Another one.
That's another one.
Yeah, it's Hungary. It's it's Hungary. Thijs is missing for Hungary, so that's amazing.
Yep. We are not revealing the replacement yet. Former race winner, big cojones.
Back of grid penalty.
Back of grid penalty.
Samuel Slaver.
Hell no.
Lorenzo Eterovic-Funcic, your mate.
Yes, Hungarian.
Yeah, you can take the
Sorry,
call
not
up.
Hungarian. Damn. Alright, thanks everyone. Mateusz, I'll let you continue watching Euro Cup. Everyone else,
It's half time, mate.
Yeah.
Well,
That's rude. That's just rude.
That's just mean. That's just.
Fair enough, I say.
Hashtag Fez.
Alright, see you later.
Bye.
Okay, let's get the
Alright,
Hunter
fine.
Burge. Let's get the Hunter Burge people on board.
I want to see. I don't think we'll have another one, so we'll bring for two. Actually, is this our? This is a debut, right? Interview
For who?
debut for them. For them.
I don't remember them having an interview early in the season.
Well, time for their first ones. Oh my goodness me! Eric and Mano, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Hello.
Holy moly! Oh Mano, you're very quiet. Gee, let me pump you up a bit. Ew. Okay.
Not better.
Whoa, nice mic.
Maybe I just have you very low. That's why.
Wait, just give me a minute. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. Help.
Wow.
Are you okay, Remco? Eric, I'll start with you. Eric, I'll start with you. How did you feel your race went? I think it's been a while since you've been. I think FS2. I think you missed the two last races, but you've returned back for Hunter Bird Simulation. How did you feel getting back in the car, and how do you feel the races went from your perspective?
I feel like race 1 did go a lot better than race 2. In race 1, I had internet issues on my last quali lap when I was up on my time, so I didn't set a better time after all. And then I started basically last. I had like one guy behind me. But then after all the chaos, I ended up in P18, so that's like 12 places. So I mean, it's not the worst race for me. I had aero damage the entire race though, so that kind of sucked because I was faster in the corners of some people, but like on the straights, I was losing 2 seconds. But in race 2, I just had a loss of head. I was focusing on the two Freccianeras in front of me, and I didn't see Busani, and I just drove into him. So yeah, I didn't see him at all. So I thought I would swoop behind one of them to get some more speed. But it was when I tried to turn away, it was too late. So I'm just I'm really disappointed in myself, really. But like shit happens, you know. So and there's been a lot going on. So yeah.
Record-breaking interview here. We got 3 swears already. Can we get it to 4?
No, we cannot, Lorenzo. Fuck off.
There we go.
Hey.
Okay.
Eric.
Mano, you fix your microphone.
Yes, I think I have. Is that better?
You sound
Close
crispy,
enough.
but that's perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah. Well done. Well done, Mano. You've got P5. How do you feel? Also, you got double points, actually. It's the first time this season that you've actually scored on the points in both races as well. So I think you must have been pretty thrilled with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time coming. I think I usually have some amazing spiel rehearsed every time I come here, but like genuinely this time I don't really know what to say. It's been so much hard work. I don't know how much people recognize, but it takes a lot out of you when you're racing at the back and you're trying so hard just to break into the top 15 and you keep getting taken out or you make a mistake. And I think especially in my case, I've been under a lot of criticism I would say the last year, to be honest. And I think to not have a drive coming into this season after getting let go from ST was definitely a big blow. So it was really just sort of practicing in the background and just sort of dialing myself in and just trying to make sure that if the opportunity comes, I can capitalize. And I think today was just one of those moments where everything clicked. Like all of a sudden I was able to, I'm still a bit off of the front runners, but there was a lot more pace in the car today. I felt a lot more comfortable. And even in positions like, I guess you could say, yes, the pole was gifted via the reverse grid, but even when we lost positions, we were able to hang with the other drivers and even try and re-overtake. So it was amazing. I'm just so happy that I was finally able to race properly for once, and also for something like tangible in the form of points. So yeah, it was great. I hope I put on a good show, and yes.
You said you got lucky in race 2, but I don't think that's 100% the story, because even for your own admission, you said, unlike in the start of the season or previous season, whenever you said you struggled a lot with the FS2 cars, this time we've seen you kind of match on pace with that of the front runners in the second race. Was there something within that you practiced in Spa or being a call-up for Hunter Birch that sort of changed your preparations to get so acquainted with the car so fast?
I think there's just every single time I've practiced for a race, there's always been very good sectors, but I've never been able to chain it together in one good lap. So I think coming into this one, I think I just had a lot more consistency. I don't know what the explanation was. I don't know if I've just flicked a switch or something, but I was able to keep it consistent. I sort of had the feeling in the academy race last week at Brands Hatch that I'd somehow been able to sort of chip away at the random errors. But I didn't want to think about it too soon and then obviously got the call from Ed to hop in the Hunter Birch. And then, yeah, I think just in practice and quali, more and more positive signs of, okay, we're a bit faster. Okay, we're not making mistakes. We're not crashing. And even when things didn't go our way today in terms of having to avoid incidents and stuff, was able to immediately get back on the groove and just start chipping away at the gaps ahead. So yeah, it was, I don't know, to be honest. I think it's just a case of, having done it so many times that it's finally just sort of clicked. I guess we'll know next week next race if I'm able to hop in again, and if we're able to put in a good performance there as well. I think we finally ironed out these wrinkles in my driving. But yeah, good day today.
Is there any questions for them?
Yeah, one each. First for Mano, obviously you mentioned yourself that you've only been able to chip away at the personal mistakes you've been making, that you've been, quite affected by the fact you weren't able to find a full-time run for this season. But I mean, with performances like this, where has this Mano Manikandan been hiding for? Because you said you've been critiqued quite a lot this past year. I would personally say that some of the critiques were objectively right to be dished out. But I think if you keep this going, the critiques will wane. And I mean, can you keep this momentum going? Do you think you'll be able to find a place somewhere on the grid to accomplish that full time?
Yeah, I think to address your first point, yeah, I mean, any criticism is always coming from, intent. You know, it's not coming just out of nowhere. It's not mindless hate in the sense. But I think for me, it was just, you know, seeing it over and over again. I didn't want to just go out like that. I didn't want people to just associate me as this washed driver who clearly can't compete here. So it was just relentless practice every single day, trying to get to grips with this car, trying to find something that would work in the setup. And I think we finally got that base today. Finally got something that actually worked for me. And you saw what happens when I'm comfortable in the car. So hopefully we can. I'm not gonna let off the throttle here in the metaphor sense. I want to keep putting in performances like this, keep capitalizing when we get the opportunities. We've still got a bit of work to go. We're not exactly where we want to be in terms of front running pace, but I'm sure if we just keep working like this, it won't be a long time until we're able to match that. And in terms for next year, I have got plans. I don't think I can reveal them just yet, but yeah, no, there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes. I'm hoping that I can share in due course.
And my next question for you, Eric, obviously, I think it's unavoidable. I've brought up the critiques that Manu has faced. Obviously, you've faced plenty of critique yourself this year. A big chunk of it is justifiable. A big chunk of it as well isn't justifiable. But of the full-time drivers who've started this season, you're one of 3 now to have not scored a point. What more is there for you to do to finally break into those points-paying positions? Because as it stands right now, without any penalties, Hunter Birch is 43 points behind Chimera, who are 13th.
I mean, yeah, it's obviously not where I wanted to be, and you know, I agree that some of the critique has been like justifiable, but the big the big percentage of it that isn't, it does kind of affect me. And I think when answering your question about what to do, I think that it's just a matter of how I prepare myself. I think I'm struggling with getting myself ready enough to really compete, and I keep finding myself last, like on the back of the grid in quali. And I think what I need to do is focus more on getting a good spot in the start of the race, because you know, gaining places is not really the problem. It's where I start, you know. It's not so much you can do when you always start 28th or 29, you know.
Yeah, but you mentioned you struggle to prepare for the races. Do you think if you put in more effort to prepare for the races, that you would be finally able to break into the points and all the critiques would slowly melt away? Because I feel like that should be definitely the case.
I mean, I don't think all of the critique will go away, because there's a lot of the critique still here that aren't really coming from any justifiable point of view. It's just people hating to hate. So, but it will definitely be less. So, you know, I know what I have to do, and I will try to do it before it's too late. I've been very bad form this entire season, but I'm trying, still trying to change that.
That's all from me, unless there is anything else from you, Amir.
No, I think honestly it's good to see. I think a team that struggled early on as Hunter Birch, I think kind of flourished into the light end. Eric, even with all the downsides that you said in race 2, you still recorded your best race result this season with 18th, so it shows the trajectory has been going up, and the same for you,
Absolutely.
man. So, congratulations.
I would just like to add one more thing.
16th. He had a 16th in Bahrain.
Yeah,
yes,
if I could just add one more thing, I would just like to thank Eds for all the support since I started out in GPV. I think a lot of people like to give him a bit of stick for just him being himself, but I think if you look at the support he gives his drivers every single time, in the chat, post-race, off the track, on it, you know, I think people should give him a bit more credit for his dedication and for the work he puts into his team. So just want to thank him for the opportunity, and yeah, hopefully onwards and upwards from here.
Onwards and upwards. Yep. big thanks to you two for your time, for the interview. Well done for yourself, Mano. Well done for yourself, Eric. And yeah, for whatever the way the path goes for you for the rest of the seasons. Best of luck for me.
Yeah.
So
yes.
Best of luck indeed. All right,
Hey,
let's put the cherry on top of
that's
this
it.
cake. Let's get James Knox in for one last interview, because why not? Why not, you know?
All right, sure.
Let's get James in. Let's get our good friend James. Let's get our good friend James Knox in. You know.
Should I bring Ben Skinner in?
No, he hasn't done anything.
Hello.
Fair enough.
Hi,
James, can you hear us? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Nice.
Yeah. God, this is so weird because it's been pretty interesting for your race in more one perspective than one. First of all, it's the first race upon your return in which you didn't score the podium, but you came very, very agonizingly close. And in fact, your highlights was race 2, beating Mano Manikantan through the final corner to just about clinch P4. So I can imagine how hard of a race that you had to kind of pull off to achieve such a feat. But then at the same time, at that race too, Fox Esports didn't. I think they scored at 1 point, I believe, at the very last minute.
We didn't score anything.
No, you didn't. You
None.
didn't score any points.
None at
I
all.
think it's your first. Yeah, it's the first time ever this season that Fox Esports has emerged pointless. So race 2 was a bit iffy, and then race 1 was, I think, also iffy. So again, it's so weird because there's positives as a team owner in race 1 and negatives as a driver, and then in race 2 you have positives as a driver and negatives as a team owner. So I can imagine it must be pretty lopsided like iffy. So race 1 to race 2s from yourself in Belgium, I think.
Yes. Yeah. It happens. I mean, you know, it's obviously frustrating with especially what happened in race 1. Then again, had I not been quite ambitious, shall I say, on Youngstra at the end of the Camel Straight, then I wouldn't have been in that position to be battling with Magnus. But yeah, race 2 was much better. Starting P22, just carving away through the pack. Yeah, very happy to get P4 from what, after race 1, was quite arguably my worst race for a very long time. But I'm very happy to come away with pole and at least some points today. Not what I was after, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. From a team owner standpoint, yeah, obviously we had a good race 1. Christian felt like he'd be nowhere before tonight. He was struggling for pace quite a lot, but he persevered, and come quali he really shone, improved his times a lot quicker. I think he was about 5/10 quicker in quali than what he was getting in practice. So yeah, very, very proud of him there. I mean, Magnus as well, obviously with good quali, good race 1. Obviously we won't talk about that incident between me and him. That's for us to talk about behind closed doors. What happened. You guys saw what happened. So yeah, it's a mixed bag of emotions, but I think we can come away from this just feeling okay with the results, I guess.
Yeah, I think you kind of said it perfectly yourself. I think there's I think a lot of things to be taken away, good and so. But Lorenzo, your thoughts or questions?
Where do you start, honestly, after this round? Let's start with the driver side of you, James, obviously. Unfortunate race 1, but still managed to climb back up to 4th in race 2, and provisionally you're on 88 points, meaning you are just 11 off of Justin van der Smissen, who's in 10th currently. Do you think before the next break in the season, which is after Hockenheim, you can climb up into the top 10?
Yeah, I'd like to hope so, Lorenzo. I mean, yeah, Hungary is one of my favourite tracks. So, I mean, I got pole there last year, my first pole in FS2. So it's a track that I enjoy quite a lot. Whether it will be the same this year, I don't know. But yeah, I'm going to go into Hungary with a much clearer mind. But obviously, it's a shame with what happened today. So just going to try and bounce back, I think. In Hungary, we're all going to try and put today in the past and sort of just work on improving come Hungary.
And as a team owner stands, obviously not getting any points in race 2 this time by, and with Matulik winning race 2, that means Orbit is now back on 12 points behind. Do you think you can keep them behind?
Yes, I think there's with the rotating lineup that Orbit has at the moment, I think we can. We think we just got quite unlucky in race 2. I haven't seen the incidents, so you guys are more than welcome to correct me if I'm wrong. But we were running in the points, both drivers, but I think we just got unlucky with incidents. So yeah, I think come Hungary we'll be able to just about hold on to it. So we'll all be working as hard as possible to increase the deficit rather than have Orbit and Emerald a lot closer than we'd like. But yeah, obviously it's a shame to not be scoring points for the first time. Both cars not in the points, shall I say? But it's bound to happen at least once this season, isn't it? So yeah, we'll just do our best to come back from that, I think.
That's all from me.
Yep, thanks for your time very much, James. And both from your team owner and as a racing driver perspective, me, Lorenzo, and Remco as well. Wish you all the best of luck for next round in Hungary, and also see you in the Academy broadcast as well.
Yeah.
Actually, no, see you on Saturday, James.
Yes, I forgot about that. Yes, I'll see you Saturday.
We've got Michigan to do.
Yeah. Alright, guys. See you later.
See you, mate.
Have a good one.
See you. Thank you. Alright, that's us. Thank you very much to Remco for staying in through thick and thin, through which is probably one of the longest broadcasting that we've ever had to do. If any of you have made it to the end, well done, you deserve a cookie. But yeah, closing thoughts, Lorenzo.
Remco's grown a beard. That's not my closing thought, that's his. My closing thoughts? Very, very good round. Amazing battle for P1 in the first race. But a lot of things happening in the back. And then, I mean, kind of like the story flipped in the second race where there was absolutely nothing going on in the front after lap 1, and then a completely clean towards the back almost, with only 3 people not finishing the race. But yeah, after all of that, the only thing I can say is I need a loo.
As Lorenzo, like, yeah, you can use the bathroom. It's fine. I can do the ending from here. But yeah, great race for the 23 laps that we've had here at the 7-kilometer circuit of Spa-Francorchamps. We've had, again, another different winners in our hands. This time it has been Jonas Karla who had managed to win in race 1, and in race 2 it was, I think, words. Oh my word, Lucas Matulik managed to win in race 2, so Matulik joins, again, a plethora of many different race winners that I've had in Formula Sprint 2 already, and with Carola added as well, that means that we are nine different race winners now in a row. Since a couple of races back. So will we get to number 10? Will we get to 11? Only one way to find out, and that is to tune in for the next time here at FS2. We will be over at Budapest for the Hungaroring. We'll host the next round of the championship. Round 10 will take place on the 21st of July 2026. For those of you that want to still stick around and watch any more GPVWC sim racing action, well, feel free to tune us at the 9th of Thursday, as we will still be in Spa-Francorchamps as that championship almost seems to be coming to its wrap. We'll see if we get another new race winner. Only time will tell. The 13th on the Monday is where we'll travel away from Spa-Francorchamps. We'll be heading just a few miles up to Zandvoort. That will host through the 13th of Monday. Often a fan favorite, and we get to see the Academy enjoy a very, very good racing. I've been there myself. It's hopefully nobody gets takeout in the first lap like I did. The 14th of July, we'll be back in Spa-Francorchamps as the Belgium Grand Prix will host through Superlights, and then it is our flagship GPVWC Sim Racing Series. With how tight the championship has been so far, the Belgium Grand Prix is definitely a non-miss for any Super League fan. That will take place at the 16th of July as well. And for those of you for tuning in, thank you so very much for watching. Thank you very much to Lorenzo for joining alongside me once again, as fantastic as he's been. And thank you very much to Remco de Zeeuw, the best broadcasting director in the world. He is absolutely fantastic. I've been around. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you at Budapest. Take care.